Hey everybody, it's me, Andy.
And I'm Sean.
And this is the Commander's Brew.
This week, the Commander 2020 set review.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching here on YouTube. You know what to do if you want to help us out. Just go down and hit subscribe. It helps us so much. It's really, really great. Leave a little comment there, or hey, even, you know what, share it with a friend or two. All of that is super, super helpful about getting the word out about Commander's Brew if you love the show. If you also want to get directly involved, we know it's tough out there right now, but you can always head over to patreon.com/commandersbrew and donate to the show directly. You can get involved in our Discord channel and help us actually brew some of our decks that we're making out here. We're always having a good time in there, basically, for every show. It's really, really great. So check us out, patreon.com/commandersbrew. But just watching is just so great, and that's all we could ever ask. And you know what? We're just happy to be here for you to create a little Commander content for you. We're always having a good time doing it. So without further ado, let's get into the C20 set review.
Ooh, C20 set review. We are going to tackle each pre-packaged deck one by one. We're going to go through the legendaries we have available to us, the new ones and the old ones that are reprinted. We're going to talk about some exciting new cards that the deck provides that we have never even seen before, brand new cards, non-reprints. And we're going to highlight some extra special reprints that we think are, very important for our format, that we get cards reprinted. This is an opportunity to do so. But you'll notice we have left out the specific Ikoria cards because for the first time ever, they're dropping this set the same time they're dropping a new standard set. So there's a lot of standard, regular, commons, uncommons, rares that have slipped into the commander decks. We're not going to talk about those. You'll see those later in an Ikoria commander focused set review that we will do in a future episode. But here is the one. This is the C20. This is the big boys.
Yeah, this is it's a kind of a weird way to do it. They dropped all the previews for Commander 20 on a weekend right in the middle of Ikoria previews, as I'm sure
Yes.
you all knew. It was like a jelly donut of Magic cards for Commander players. We were happy with the outside, but when we got into the middle, it was even better. So it was just an insane amount of cards to read, and if you're like me, it was hard to keep track of. Even though we were following kind of day by day, it was a little tough for me to remember which cards were in what set. It's like, oh, was that an Ikoria card or was that a C20 card? We weren't even sure. I think when we had our preview, I think it says Ikoria preview, which is true because it's kind of part of the world of Ikoria, but that's a
Yes.
C20 card, as you'll see. We'll talk about it here a bit more. But yeah, so we're keeping them separate for that reason. I think that's actually going to be helpful going forward. That way we're going to really be able to remember which ones are in Ikoria, in the open booster packs, and then we'll be able to know the C20 stuff. But let's start getting into it. We got a long haul here, and we got a lot of very fun stuff to talk about. So let's just crack on, shall we?
Yeah, the first deck we're going to do is the Sultai deck. This is the black, blue, green deck. There's one for every sort of, we call them
The wedges, right?
the wedges, right? Without going into the technical reason of why I got that name, these are the 3 color sets that came out with Khans of Tarkir in the Tarkir days. So this is the Sultai deck. This is black, green, blue, and the theme of this deck is Mutate, the ability of Mutate, and getting +1/+1 counters. And the headlining commander is Otrimi, the Ever Playful. 3 black, green, blue. It's a 6/6 with trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, return target creature with Mutate from your graveyard to your hand. And it also has Mutate, and the Mutate cost is 1 black, green, blue. And the way Mutate works is, this is for any Mutate card, you cast this creature from your hand by paying the Mutate cost, and you have to target a non-human creature you already control, and that creature mutates into a combination of the two. You put this card that you're mutating either on the top of the pile or on the bottom of the pile, and the card on the top gets the stats and the color identity and the creature types, and the card on the bottom, well, the unit now gets all of the abilities of all of the cards.
That's right. And of course, if you put it, whether you put it on the top or the bottom, that counts as mutating, and that will trigger the mute when this creature mutates stuff that happens, right?
Yeah, that's a big part of this deck. There's a lot of cards that are like they're from Ikoria, but they're also here that say whenever whenever this creature mutates, do something. So that this deck is geared all around that, combined with +1/+1 counters. And mutate is a pretty complicated rules thing, but the gist of it, I think this will get you through 90% of your issues. You treat the mutated pile as if it was one physical card. So if anything happens to that physical card, if it goes to exile, if it gets bounced to your hand, if it gets shuffled in, all of the individual cards in that pile also do whatever the unit is doing.
That's very important, because I think a lot of us, myself included, were sort of shorthanding this to be a lot like Bestow or just like auras and things like that. Whereas if we bounce the creature, all the auras or whatever go to the graveyard, but that's not the case with Mutate. Like you said, you treat it as if it's one like physical card basically, and they all actually bounce back to your hand. If you the bounce thing for me was the key thing. Everything else kind of makes sense. If you kill it, it goes to the graveyard. But same thing, exiling the creature will exile all of the cards. Very important to mention that.
Yeah. Or if you mutate one of the God Eternals that go third from the top of your library, the whole unit goes third from the top of your library.
Wild.
And you get to choose the order within that.
I'm going to take this opportunity to plug Judge Chat. Because I do think it is going to come up quite a bit. And actually, I saw on Twitter someone asking Josh about a rules thing, which I'm sure he gets all the time, even though he says repeatedly he's not a judge. But like, if you're not aware of it, and you're like either a new Magic player or even someone who just never heard of it, Judge Chat is awesome. Just search Google for MTG Judge Chat, and it's literally just a live chat room where it's just like a bunch of judges are in there, and you just ask them a question. Everyone's super nice. They get to it right away. You often find the answer of the question you're looking for faster than if you just like Google searched it and try to find it in like a forum or something. Try Judge Chat, and I tell you what, they're going to get a lot of mutate questions. It's going to be great. Well, let's first of all, before we actually start reading these cards, I just want to talk about Otrimi.
Yes.
And say that this must be the cutest Sultai card ever, right?
Yeah.
This guy's the cutest little Sultai guy.
Just peeking under the little
He's playful.
there.
He's playing a little game with you.
I mean, I don't think of Sultai as the ever playful color combination.
No, he's gonna play with you a little bit, and then he's gonna show you your own death.
Yeah.
He's a nightmare beast.
I mean, so the ramifications of this is we have a mutatable, so we can make any non-human in our deck, as long as Otrimi is in our command zone, a 6/6 trample for 4 mana, but that is a cast, so that is subject to the commander tax, so we do have to pay more every time Otrimi comes out. But like there's a lot of like, where people are talking about infect, because you can take a 1/1 infector that you can get down on 3 and mutate it into a 6/6 trampler that is allowed to attack, because this unit has been around since your turn began. It does not have summoning sickness. It's able to attack, so you can swing for 6. Anything like Dream Stealer, where like the amount of damage you do is how many cards they discard or how many cards you draw. There's a lot of fairly brutal creatures. Dream Stealer might be a human, but that let's keep an eye out on those. If you see them on the battlefield, assume they're going to be a 6/6 coming at you.
I think let's talk about these, and then we'll talk about this when we get down to the new cards part. But yeah, let's read Otrimi.
We didn't we?
No, we haven't read them yet.
Yeah, I read the whole thing.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Wow, I totally wasn't paying attention, I guess.
Okay.
Well, anyways, there you have it. He's the 6/6 with trample. I know you read that part, but anyways. So what do you think about this guy?
I think it's pretty neat. I'd have to take a look at like my inclination. Well, first of all, mutate is a very parasitic mechanic among itself. So Otrimi's going to bring other cards with mutate back from your graveyard, but I'm not in love with running a deck full of mutate cards, because there's only enough for basically one deck anyway.
Yeah.
And this is kind of all you got to do with it. I'm more interested in mutating other creatures into bigger, badder threats. So Otrivi is largely a vanilla 6/6 in my kind of imagination.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. This is like almost ultra tribal kind of in a weird way. It's like you
Yeah.
want you, but it's the ability. Yeah, like you said, fairly parasitic, but can also work if you build around the idea of like you're saying with like infect, where you have these little creatures and then you're mutating on top of them. Like there's definitely a deck in there where you go like half these specific mutate cards and half cards that you want mutated onto them, sort of. I think
Yeah,
there's a
my
world where
other
that's a thing.
I think that's fine, and I hate to be negative in a set review. New options are always great, but since mutate is so tied to a current standard set, it's very balanced for standard. A lot of the creatures that have mutate are very fair,
Yeah.
and like to put in a mutate card that is very fair. I might just be like, well, why don't I just play an even bigger unfair thing without mutate?
Yeah, we'll talk a little more about mutate when the Ikoria set review comes around. But I agree.
Yeah,
I'm actually it's actually a thing I'm not super excited about. And actually, as we get to talking about this deck, we're actually not going to talk about the mutate cards too much, just because they're all kind of just like regular-ish abilities, and most of them again sort of come from Ikoria anyways.
yeah,
It's weird. It's a bit weird.
but that's not all the deck has for us.
No, that's not for sure. In fact, we've got another legendary here, and it's Ukima, Stalking Shadow. And this is a part of the partners for this deck, so I'll read Ukima first. Ukima is 1 blue-black for a legendary Whale Wolf. Sure. It doesn't look... My problem with this is that it doesn't look at all like a whale. You can't just say
Or
it's a
wolf.
whale.
It's a hyena.
Yeah, sure. Like, this looks like a shark wolf or a shark hyena, shark
Yeah.
hound, but there's nothing...
You know how I feel about creature types. I'm very particular, so
There's
I don't even want to
nothing
get
whale-like about this creature. I'm sorry. It's awful. It's small.
Yeah.
How small is this thing? Maybe it's huge and we just don't have the scale right on it, like on the art, but like this thing looks like the size of a wolf and it 100% looks like a shark.
Yeah.
Anyways, again, I don't want to be negative either. Okay, so this partners with Khazar, Ruthless Stalker, which we'll read in a sec. Ukima's Stalking Shadow can't be blocked. It's a 2/2. And when it leaves the battlefield, it deals X damage to target player, and you gain X life, where X is its power.
Okay. Can't be blocked, and when it leaves, it does damage, right? That's a powerful, like, Voltron potential, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's in the +1/+1 deck, so we're meant to put tons of +1/+1s. Can't be blocked, doing a lot of damage.
Right, and it's tough to... So here's the thing that I've noticed with all of these, all the partners. The multicolored one is usually like, yeah, you can play that on its own even if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
But to get the full picture, you do want to take a look at the partner. So the partner here is Khazar, Ruthless Stalker, 3 and a green for legendary human warrior, 3/3, partners with Ukima. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature.
Okay.
Okay. So that's a pretty, again, like you were saying, like this is actually kind of like a, I mean, not in the same context you were talking about, but like this is a pretty fair ability actually. Something that we've seen before, but it works really well with Ukima. So how do we like Ukima on its own versus in a partner scenario? I think you're going to run this with the partner most times, right?
I don't see why not. If they're both allowed to be your commanders, here's the thing about partner commanders. You could run a largely blue-black deck with Khazar in the command zone. Most of your fixing, you got a little bit of splash in there for green, and just for those key pieces to get extra +1/+1s. I don't know, to get some stuff back from your graveyard, maybe regrowth type of stuff, like just some staples, some ramp. I guess is the most obvious thing. So I don't see why you wouldn't just run both, even if you're spiritually brewing a blue-black deck.
Yeah, I agree. I think like green doesn't hurt your mana base, like adding it. So
No.
you're definitely, I think, gonna run these as partners. I'm not like leaping out of my seat excited to run these two guys. It's a pretty straightforward kind of Voltron-y build that, while I like Ukima's ability of dealing X damage and gaining life, like I think that's pretty cool, and you can set up some really, like I think some really awesome plays with these guys, but I don't know. I'm just not like wildly excited.
You know what? I think that's got to be because part of these commander decks are players' introductions to commander, and I think these two together are an excellent, like, simple beginner.
Yeah.
Not to. I hate to use the word beginner because
Yeah, no,
you don't
beginner's
have
not
to.
the right word. You're right.
But like it's
just
not
simple.
It's, not
It's just
unique.
like a yeah, exactly.
Yes,
It's like it's a bread and butter mechanic. It's something that definitely new players like, and also older players alike. Like Timmy's love to do this stuff, right? It's Timmy, isn't it? Right? Yeah.
I don't know.
Timmy's the big creature person. So like, yeah, they love you love to swing and get bigger and hit and like, oh great, and so like while I'm not super excited about these cards, I get why they're here, and I think I'm always just happy to have new commanders, to be honest.
They do an excellent job at what they do.
Yeah, agreed. And I don't think, Kazir could be run as a mono green commander. I think he's one of the best. If for some reason you wanted to run him as a mono green commander, I think he's probably one of the best mono colored legendaries that we get in these partner cycles. Actually,
I think I'd agree with you.
yeah. Okay, what's next?
Oh, we got this is we're just jumping in with a reprint here. This is Widewind the Biting Gale, 2 black blue for a legendary fairy wizard, 3/3 with flash and flying, and for blue black you can pay 1 life, return Widewind the Biting Gale to its owner's hand. So she's got flash on the way in, and you can pay 2 mana and a life to bounce her back to your hand on the way out. This is a notorious commander for being really hard to deal with. So if you want to put together some sort of Voltron-y, some kind of thing, it is tough to get rid of Widewind.
I love it that it works especially well with Mutate, obviously.
Right.
Widewind is a great creature to mutate onto. If anything tries to target it, you just bounce it all back. Like, it's cool.
The whole thing comes back. Very good. Very good.
Yeah, love that. The next is Zaxara, the Exemplary. 1 black, green, blue for a legendary Nightmare Hydra that it starts as a 2/3. So I will say this is, to me, like, the art on Zaxara. So apologies to those listening to the audio show right now. But look it up, Zaxara the Exemplary. The art on this card, this is what the art looked like for all of the creatures, all of the legendary creatures to me that weekend. Like, everything just looked like a massive color, and there was like weird heads, and like there's some kind of tree in the back, and there's a cloud.
Some
I don't know.
spikes.
Yeah, like it all just melded together and looked like this. Like, at first glance, like, what is this card? It's just an explosion of color. And obviously, if you look a little closer, okay, fine, yeah, there I see the snake head things. Okay, fine. But this is what it was. Anyways, Zaxara is a legendary Nightmare Hydra, a 2/3 Death Touch. Taps to add 2 mana of any one color. And whenever you cast a spell with X in its mana cost, create a 0/0 green Hydra creature token, then put X +1/+1 counters on it. So this is I saw someone go like, finally we have a Hydra commander. It's like, well, we have a mono green Hydra commander, and he's quite good. But yes, now we have a multicolored Hydra commander.
Well, but not to, but like the other Hydras are also red. Like, this doesn't add us any extra Hydras.
I agree. Yes, I agree that if you were going to really make a like across the board great Hydra Lord, it would be you have to include red in it.
You'd have to.
You have to. But they've gone with this Sultai version, and I don't mind branching out into seeing something, because like you get the new Polukranos this way. You get there's a blue one. There's the one in standard that flies. That card's good. Anyways, so like obviously this ability, you'll be casting big Hydras and getting other big Hydras, which I think is great. I love this card. It's great. It seems very, very powerful. I like the mana cost. I like that it sort of like makes up for it. Like it ramps you so hard on turn 4. Like you're casting a big spell the turn after you play this.
Well, I love that. Like you can kind of do the math. Like, so on turn 2, you're gonna play something that gives you an extra mana, right?
Yeah,
like maybe a Signet, maybe a 2-drop kind of mana dork, maybe like a Felwar Stone. And so then when you play your 3rd land plus that other card, you get to cast Zaxara. And now you're dealing with 6 mana on the very next turn, or 7 if you also play a land.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you can get some if those are Hydras, if those are X spells, like that's pretty decent.
It's quite decent. You know, like, yeah, 6 to 7 mana on turn 5 is, you're going to be able, like I said, you're going to be able to drop a big Hydra there. Then people have to look at it, because if for 7 mana you cast one of the like 7/7 or whatever it is, because you can find those guys, that's 2 of them you get though. So now you have 14 power on the board after you drop your commander. Like, man, that's powerful. So
yeah,
I'm in for it. I'm like
in.
it.
I love X spells. I'm in.
Yeah, you're in. That's, I guess that's the other thing we should mention, right? It's not just Hydras, right?
Yeah.
It's X spells. So like, your
Villainous Wealth.
I was gonna say Villainous Wealth has gotta be a part of this. So this is just a general like ramp, like payoff that you're getting here, right?
Again, tough. We don't have black or red. I mean, like red loves X spells too. Come on, give red some X spells.
I know this does feel a bit like it should have been a teamer commander.
Yep.
But you know
Anyway.
what? I'm not gonna complain. I like it. I think it's fun.
No.
I think you can obviously go the Hydra route, but you can go in other directions with this, and it's a lot of fun.
Sure. Just drawing tons of cards with blue while making threats on the board, that's a decent combo.
Definitely.
But that's the legendaries. That covers it. We're gonna move on to just the exciting new cards that we didn't have access to before. Again, just to like breeze through it, we didn't include a lot of mutate cards because a lot of them are already in Ikoria. And then a lot of them are just like, when this creature mutates, do stuff like maybe bounce a creature to its owner's hand or destroy an artifact. And it's like, those are certainly useful. But if I'm going to be like mutating the whole game, that is a lot of value. But at the end of the day, you're still all that work, one removal spell, and it's just like, well, it's got to start over now.
Yeah,
it's a tall order.
It is a tall order, especially the tall order to like talk about them all. Like, yeah, like you're saying, like in a mutate deck, absolutely, those are key creatures. But you know, these are abilities that we see all the time, so it's not really worth. I think it's not really worth mentioning again outside of a deck tech where we're talking about mutate cards specifically.
Yeah. So I mean, we've got 2 highlighted that are just one from the commander deck, one from Ikoria. These are the most interesting ones in my opinion. This is Mind Leecher for 4 black. It mutates for 4 and a black, and you get a 5/5 flyer with it. And whenever this creature mutates, exile the top card of each opponent's library face down. You may look at it and play those cards as long as they remained exiled. So we get to play their lands, we get to cast their spells. It doesn't let us use mana of any color. We have to pay the right colors for them, so we'll need some fixing that way. But whenever this creature mutates, so like, I don't mind having that in a mutate stack if I'm getting all that extra value from it.
Yeah, like this card is definitely fine to run outside of a mutate deck if this is the type of thing you want to be doing in your deck, right? Like, exiling the top card and then just getting those permanently available to you, which I believe they are, right? For as long as they remain exiled. Yeah,
they are.
That's just good value, and turning a Llanowar Elves into a 5/5 flyer that does this. I mean, yeah, sure, we'll upgrade that.
Yeah,
no problem. So yeah, so when we're saying we're not talking about the mutate cards, it's not so much that they're not good or anything. It's just that a lot of them do have these sort of baseline abilities, whereas this one is like an outstanding ability, I think.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, we also have Auspicious Starix. Now, this isn't a Ikoria card, we just wanted to give you a look into this. It's the 4 and a green, 6/6, mutates for 5 and a green. And it says, whenever this creature mutates, you exile cards from the top of your library until you exile X permanent cards, where X is the number of times this creature has mutated. Put those permanent cards onto the battlefield. So, the first time it might not hit super hard. You just get the 1, right? To look at the top one rather. But this one has a lot of quite a high ceiling. You can really get some stuff going with this once you mutated this creature onto something else.
Yeah, I mean, this is a creature out of mind. So you're paying 5 mana and you're getting 2 permanents. You're getting this one, or you're upgrading one, and it's bringing another permanent along with it. And in a commander deck, the potential is very, very high.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so let's get to some cool cards that have nothing to do with mutate.
Yes.
Great. Do you want to take this first one?
Sure, I'll take Tidal Barracuda, 3 and a blue for a creature, fish. It's so funny to just see creature, fish. When in this set and this whole week we've seen like nightmare, cat, beast, monkey, dinosaur. Like this guy, just a fish. Tidal Barracuda, 3 and a blue for a 3/4. Any player may cast spells as though they had flash. Your opponents can't cast spells during your turn.
Ooh, this is interesting.
I know, it's so interesting. This is a very neat design where like, so you also get all your flash stuff. You can play it whenever, but your opponents just can't mess with your stuff. Like no counters there, no flashing things in on your turn if you're doing attacks and stuff like that. It's like, you guys can all mess with each other all you want, but just keep me out of it. I love it. It's great.
Sucks so much if you cast this for the person who's sitting to your left. Because usually when you're playing with Flash, the end of the last person's turn is your real turn.
Right.
But that person doesn't get that choice.
Right.
Because your turn is going, it's like, well, on your end step, I can't do squat because I'm not allowed to cast spells. So now their turn begins like, now can I do Flash? But it's my turn, so
doesn't it just become the turn before yours?
I mean, sort of, but that's not when you want to do this stuff because now your shields are down for a whole person's turn.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's definitely not as good for that person.
Oh, that person, it burns one person so hard.
This is cool though. Like, it's almost like it almost creates like chaos in a way, right? Where
I love it.
So like people are flashing at creatures and just like it has that sort of across the table effect, but meanwhile, you are getting a benefit for it, not only because of the ability where it says they can't do stuff during your turn, but the whole thing of like you've built around this / you have a deck that uses this better.
Sure.
You know what I love about this so much is
the art.
Yeah, the art is awesome. It looks like the fish in episode 1 in Phantom Menace that tries to eat them, or at least looks like one of them. It's that the old Teferi, the three blue Teferi, that's like it says like players can't cast stuff on your turn and all your stuff has flash. That card is hated off the table the second it touches it, right? Because people.
Wait, is that the standard one, the 3 mana Teferi?
Sorry, I'm talking about the creature, not the planeswalker. My bad.
Oh.
So the old creature Teferi.
Yes.
The legendary. So it's like it gives all your stuff flash, and then people can't cast stuff on your turn, or it's that they have to play things as sorceries. That's what it is. They can't have instant speed anything. That card is obviously better, but it's also more hated. That will get hated off right away. People will just kill it because they want to be able to do instants. This is like a similar effect, obviously pared down, but it's not going to be nearly as hated because people are going to see this as a bonus, when really you're getting the advantage. Because the rules are equal for everyone, except that they can't do stuff on your turn. I love it. I think it's like really cool and slick design.
Except that guy to your left. That person does want to hate this.
Probably, yeah.
Cool. Let's talk about Migration Path. It's real simple. It's 3 and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 basic lands.
Oh, this is an Ikoria card. Tapped.
It is an Ikoria card. Some of them slip through. I meant to dodge these, but I couldn't help it. And it cycles for 2. So this is a strict upgrade to Explosive Vegetation, because it now has cycling. And cycling makes so many cards so much better because now they have tons of flexibility. It allows you to hold up more mana for more options. If you get this early, great. If you get it late, great.
Great. We'll also talk about during the Ikoria review. Spoiler alert. Okay, let's move on. It's Manascape Refractor is next. 3 mana for an artifact that says it enters the battlefield tapped. Manascape Refractor has all activated abilities of all lands on the battlefield. Crazy. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to pay the activation costs of Manascape Refractor's abilities. I think this card is pretty good.
I mean, it's a 3 mana, 5 color mana rock, basically. Like there's probably 1 land of every color type on the battlefield, so it can tap for any of the colors. But if there's like a Ravnica bounce land that is taps for 2, or if there is a Temple of the False Gods, you can tap this for 2. And it also absorbs any bonus abilities. It has all activated abilities, like anything that makes you loot, anything that makes creatures come out of combat, anything that destroys lands, I guess. You'd have to sacrifice it, I think, in those cases.
Yeah, if someone's got a Gaia's Cradle or something like that, like you're just tapping for crazy amounts of mana sometimes. Yeah, this card's great, right? Like this is really good.
Yeah, I think this is definitely worth upgrading one of your 3 CMC mana rocks.
Absolutely. This is the new best 3 CMC mana rock, basically, right? Like what
I'm
tangles,
not
what tangles with this at 3 mana? Like Chromatic Lantern, probably the only thing.
I mean, yeah, Chromatic Lantern does that too. I mean, it's going to take a lot to get me off Cultivator's Caravan, the ability to turn into a 5/5 attacker. That's a tough one to get around.
This can do that if they have a man land.
That's
kind
true.
of, right?
That's true. Yes, that is true. I hadn't thought of that.
Like you said, though, the fact that this could be like Maze of Ith, this could be any of those awesome lands from Ixalan, the flip lands.
Yeah.
There's a lot of potential here for this. So
Yeah.
I think this is the new best one.
Certainly
you might
could be.
in like a 5-color deck. You might be able to win the argument of Chromatic Lantern is better just because it totally fixes your mana. But anyways, this one's great. Keep an eye out for this one.
Yeah. Another artifact. This one shows up in all the decks, but we're going to talk about it here. This is Bonder's Ornament. 3 generic for an artifact. Taps for 1 mana of any color. This is your 3 mana any tap artifact. But it says 4 tap. Each player who controls a permanent named Bonder's Ornament draws a card. I mean, I don't think this is going to be played in every single commander deck, so I don't think that's going to help everybody. But I do think, it's pricey, but if we're in Boros, where draw's a little bit tricky to come by, I think there are color pairs where you will happily run this card.
Yeah, you know where I like this also, oddly enough, is in any kind of multicolored deck that is holding its mana up a lot.
Yeah.
Just to be the ability to just, you went around the table, nothing to counter / nothing to flash in, maybe.
Sure.
Okay, sure, man, I'll pay for it and draw a card. No problem.
Yeah. Then there's the interesting head game where if a lot of people do start running it, you can start running it, and then other people are like, well, I don't want to use it because then you get a card.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? And like you said, those Boros decks are just going to start doing it, and you're like, great. So maybe people will just start including Bonder's Ornament just because, like, this will occasionally get you a free card or two.
It's like what is it, I can't remember what it's called, where it's like the prisoner's dilemma. It's like, when do you put it in always? Is it the right move to always put it in?
Yeah. Or like, I mean, this is a nice political card too, right? You can start being like, if you and one of your opponents has this, and they're about to start their turn, like, hey, you plan on using that Bonder's Ornament? It's like, no, I don't want you to draw a card. It's like, well, hey, I'll tell you what, you got the free mana. I was like, why don't you just make it happen? Next time I'll do it. I'll do it at the end of, this next turn. It's like, okay, all right, okay.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Some political moves there. I like that. Next we have Parasitic Impetus. There's like a cycle of impetus cards. They're all auras. There's one in every color, monocolored cards, and they all do similar things. So this is the black one, and it's 2 and a black for an aura that says Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and is goaded, meaning that it attacks each combat if able and attacks a player other than you if able. So right away, I'm reminded of that. There's another cycle of auras that gives like +2/+2 some ability, and it can't attack you. Right, already we're looking at
goaded.
Those. Right, not goaded, but it just has like other. It's right. It doesn't have to attack. Here and this has an additional ability though. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, its controller loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. Okay.
These are very risky because nothing is protecting them.
Yeah.
So like your opponents have to attack. So I think the logic is you put it on something really big and bad that can't lose a combat anyway, or that the owner wants to protect somehow. Something unblockable, something that's hard to block already is like, well, you're just not going to come at me, because the owner of the card, I mean, until that losing 2 life starts to get too expensive, they probably don't want to lose the creature if it's providing good value.
Yeah, I'm not too upset about this, even if I am running like a Voltron style thing. I'm not too bad at this. If someone puts this on early in the game, it's like, okay, 2 life. Okay, what's going to help me, deal some damage, hopefully. So maybe I can take someone out before I have to turn it on somehow turn it on its owner.
I mean, that you have to attack the owner when you're the last two
That's
people,
true.
right?
That's
That's how goad
people.
works.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about
You don't. You're not immune forever.
that. Do you want to read the next one, or should I?
Sure. Yeah, it's a whole cycle.
Yeah.
The blue one is Psychic Impetus. 2 and a blue. Enchant creature gets +2/+2 and is goaded. And whenever enchanted creature attacks, you scry 2. You referring to the owner of the enchantment. So you get a free scry every time they attack. Not bad.
Not bad. And the final one of this deck is the green one, Predatory Impetus. 4 and a green for the aura that says enchanted creature gets +3/+3, must be blocked if able, and is goaded. This one is interesting because of that must be blocked thing. It's like,
see, I like this one the least.
yeah, me too. That's what I mean. Like I don't like that.
Oh.
I don't want them to be blocking and maybe pulling out some kind of weird trick with it. I don't know. Like, yeah, I agree. I'm with you. I like that extra +1/+1 is, I don't know. I guess it can be relevant, but I'm not excited about it.
It doesn't give him
It's
trample.
also 5 mana. Like,
yeah.
5's a lot, man. This should be like, I don't know, less.
3. It should be another 3.
Yeah. I'm not wild about the green one.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not really wild. Like, these are very specific cards. These go in specific types of decks, I think.
Yeah.
And I just this green one, I don't think you'll really run.
I love a goad deck though. I love goading.
Yeah,
so
goading
I'm
is
just
cool.
I'm happy to get more goad cards. If they're gonna give us more goad cards every commander set, I am happy.
Love the ability. Love it.
So this brings us to our first of a cycle that there's one in every deck, and it is free to cast if you control your commander. These are the spiciest in the whole set because we often have commanders, and they reminded us they brought back partner commanders. So if you're running partner commanders, you've got 2 bodies that count as your commander. So if there are a couple of cheapos, it's very hard to keep you off of your commander. So Andy, why don't you take this first one?
Sure. This is Deadly Rollick. 3 and a black for an instant. It says exile target creature, and if you control a commander, you don't even have to control your own commander. If you've stolen,
That's true.
If you've stolen someone's commander, you can do this, but not if you've cloned one or if you've made a token copy of one, because
tokens know that they're not a commander.
Yes, true, and clones as well, because I think it's like a property of the card itself, like the physical card, right?
Right.
So if you control a commander, you may cast the spell without paying its mana cost. Bam. Free exile target creature.
Instant exile target creature for free, but it's also 3 and a black, so I'm fine running this if I don't have my commander. That's a fair rate to exile a creature in black. That's standard for black.
Yeah, not exciting or anything, but good, certainly.
Yeah, I mean,
exiling is
destroy
always
way
great.
Cheaper.
True, yeah.
But like the black exiles for 4 is the standard rate, and this upside is enormous.
Yeah, it's strong. It's great. I love it.
Love it.
Free cards. Give us more pacts that we don't have to maybe lose the game with.
So now let's give Wizards the thanks that they deserve with a little Wizards thanks.
Wizards thanks. These
Here's
are the
some
reprints.
Good reprints we've been wanting. Much needed reprints. They gave us back Propaganda, 2 and a blue for an enchantment. Creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays 2 for each creature they control that's attacking you. Fantastic. We needed this reprint. Give us a few more.
Wizards thanks. Next we have Arcane Signet. We were hoping that this was going to happen, and it has. Arcane Signet, the 2-mana artifact that came out in the Brawl decks. Add 1 commander of any color in your commander's color identity. Like when they spoiled this, obviously, this is like, okay, so you're going to include this on every commander deck you ever make from now on, right? Because it just belongs in every one.
Yeah, the fact that okay. The fact that they missed one, we'll give them that. We'll give them that one.
I'll say this card shouldn't even be made. Honestly, like I'd be fine if they banned this card, because it's another Soul Ring. It just has to go in every deck. It sucks. But obviously it's a good mana rock. 2-mana mana rocks are great. So guess what?
Get them down to a nickel.
Yeah, exactly. Making them cheaper, even though maybe I'd prefer it if it didn't exist, is still the next best thing. So, Wizards thanks.
And thanks for Crows and Grip. Thanks for giving us another one of these, right? It's been creeping up there, but like these are the kinds of cards we need a few of these in every commander deck to keep the price low. I'm very excited about whatever this commander draft set coming out at the end of this year is going to be like. We better get all of these and more.
Yeah, I'll just say real quick, hashtag Wizard6. Okay. Yeah, great. That's the Sultai deck right there.
One down, 4 to go.
One down, 4 to go. Moving at a good clip here, so let's just keep her rolling. The next one is the Abzan deck. Do we know the name of this one?
I didn't look up any of the names because I won't remember them 2 days after they're out anyway.
Okay,
throw
so
the boxes out.
Sultai, this is the only time when it matters because when people are making the orders and stuff. So the Sultai one is Enhanced Evolution.
Okay.
And the Abzan one is Symbiotic Swarm.
Sure.
There we go. Okay, so starting us off here, the poster child of the Abzan deck is Cathril Aspect Warper. Okay.
Catherine Aspect
Warper. Catherine Asban Warner. I'm trying to make her name the most normal. 2 white, black, green for the legendary Nightmare Insect.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, valid picture for that creature type.
Yeah, totally. Catherine is a 3/3. And when she enters the battlefield, you put a flying counter on any creature you control if a creature card in your graveyard has flying. Repeat this process for First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Reach, Trample, and Vigilance. Then put a +1/+1 counter on Cathril for each counter put on a creature this way. Okay, so this is obviously this is one of the other new mechanics coming out here with Ikoria is these ability counters, evergreen counters, or whatever you want to call them. For one thing, I know that the packs of Ikoria will actually come with little punch-out cards where they'll have the little counters in them. I'm wondering if we're going to get those for the C20. I wonder what they're going to do. I can't wait to see what your favorite token artist is going to make. Sometimes they make those like hard plastic tokens or metal ones. I can't wait to see some nice ones coming out from our favorite artists that way. But yeah, this is going to be a lot to keep track of. I'm a little it's a little fiddly for me.
We're already keeping it in our brains. A lot of times creatures say all your creatures get lifelink. So we just kind of mentally track that. And that is a lot of work.
Yeah.
But now it's just like a scattering of tokens. Yeah, so if you're a bit lazy and if you don't have clear tokens, like I've got little green dice to be +1/+1 counters because those are in this deck as well. You can't just use the same dice for all of these.
Yep.
So a little green dice means +1/+1 counters. Little red dice means -1/-1 counters. If it's a penny, that's a flying counter.
Yeah.
If it's a nickel, that's a death touch counter. Like this is a lot. This might be too much.
It might be. And yeah, you're right. Maybe the first time you cast Cathril, okay, I got a First Strike, I got an Indestructible, I got a Menace, and I got a Flying. It's like, okay, that's 4 things. It's actually not that hard to remember. We indicate that. It's like, oh, I remember that the Terastodon has Flying, blah, blah, blah. But when you cast her the second time and you start getting the other First Strike counter and the other Indestructible counter, it's like,
oh goodness.
Or I also put a Death Touch counter on the Trampler. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my god, that's gonna get so annoying to keep track of. So
it's gonna be tough. Gonna be tough.
So physically, card wise, playing the game speaking, it's a nightmare. And it is a nightmare. Actually,
Nightmare Insect.
It's a nightmare insect. But just from the card's ability, all that other stuff notwithstanding, I like this card a lot. I think this card's great.
Yeah,
I'm excited to play this.
This card reminds me of, oh boy, I only remember Alistair's Orphanage deck.
Oh,
yes. The Orphanage boss.
Yeah, Rayami, right?
Rayami, right? Yeah. So I bet you the common play pattern is going to be find a way to get rid of like a Hexproof creature first, cast Cathril with Hexproof, and then just go ham and just start throwing other counters on them, other ways to Voltron, and I think you're going to find that it's going to, like, Indestructible, Hexproof. It's going to be, Cathril will get to the point where you can't deal with it anymore very easily at all.
Yeah, I didn't even. Yeah, I'm like the fact that you're probably just going to pile up a bunch of these abilities on Catherall herself.
Probably.
Yeah, right, and give her all the +1/+1 counters as well as a result. Like,
Catherall's gonna suck
yeah,
the blood out of the corpses of everything in your graveyard and give itself all kinds of stuff.
but there's also the potential to like spread these counters around and just make whatever type of deck you're building with a bunch of creatures in it just even more like terrifying.
I don't mind
like,
that. I don't mind that versatility
that either.
for sure.
Yeah, very cool. I think I love the design, and I also sort of hate the design. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's cool,
yeah.
though.
We'll see. I can't wait to see my first one. See how that goes.
Yeah.
Great.
If
So
you're
let's talk
building
about
this
our
deck, bring your own counters.
Please,
Do
don't
everyone
forget.
that service, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the partners that this deck gives us. So it's going to be black, white, green, and we have a monocolor black creature in Nakara, Lair Scavenger, 2 and a black for a legendary human cleric, 2/2, and partners with Yannick, Scavenging Sentinel. So Nakara on her own has Menace as a 2/2, and whenever another creature you control leaves the battlefield, or if it had one or more whenever another creature you control leaves the battlefield, if it had one or more counters on it of any kind, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
They've worded it in the best way possible. So if they leave the battlefield, so it doesn't care if it dies, if it gets bounced back to your hand, if it gets exiled, anytime. So once you've committed to this, you will get that benefit. That's not bad. And Yannick, the Scavenging Sentinel, the partner, is a 2 green white, 3/3 with Vigilance. When Yannick enters the battlefield, exile another creature you control until Yannick leaves the battlefield. A little bit of an O-ring kind of effect, Banisher Priest. So when Yannick leaves, this thing will come back. When you do, distribute X +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures where X is the exiled creature's power. So we get to protect a big creature under Yannick and be like, well, I know there's some threatening stuff coming out there, so when Yannick leaves, I'll get this creature back. But Yannick kind of takes on the +1/+1 of it, and he will sort of borrow the counters from that creature. It's an interesting design, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, one of my favorite things to do, like, I don't know how long ago this was, a couple months ago. Well, no, it would have been longer than that. Anyways, Hostage Taker was in Standard, and there was a Sultai deck that was that had it in there, and there was a lot of moments where you were playing against like board wipe heavy, like control type decks, where you wouldn't want to just play your Hostage Taker out. So instead you would play it out and you'd exile your own creature. So that way, and then you just attack them, it's like, hey, I can just attack here all day, like no problem. And they would have to wipe the board at some point. And when they did that, the creature that you exiled would just pop back out, and you'd be like, great, I'm back in business. It was my favorite move to do, and that's what this is. I love it. I love it so much.
Cool. And as you said earlier, like this works on a green-white deck on its own. Like that's a powerful enough ability, but throw what's her name, Nakara in there, and you've got access to black as well. I don't mind it.
Yeah, I don't mind it at all. I like the ability to like maybe use some white cards to flicker Yannick and sort of recreate this ability several times. Maybe Yannick takes Catherall, so that way when she comes back in, she's putting out more counters, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Love the synergy between these last 3 cards we've seen. And Nakara, like a mono black commander, let's say, that is like, I think, just awesome on her own. But you can also build that Abzan deck with Yannick as her partner, where it's not even caring about these ability counters at all. It's just -1/-1 counters or +1/+1 counters, whatever, right? Like a lot of versatility here. But like I said, I love the mix of the 3 of them. I think it's really good.
Cool.
This might be the one I'm the most excited to play with out of the box, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe we'll see.
We have not gotten to mine yet.
Next, and I mean, you saw all those token, not token, but you saw those ability counters, and I'm sure, like us, you definitely thought of our boy, Audric Lunark Marshall. He's in here too, and he is legendary, so he counts as a legendary in the deck. 3 and a white for the legendary human soldier, 3/3 at the beginning of each combat. Creatures you control gain first strike until end of turn. If a creature you control has first strike, well, I guess what? The same is true for flying, death touch, double strike, haste, hex proof, indestructible, lifelink, menace, reach, skulk, trample, and vigilance. Skulk!
Skulk.
Yeah! Gosh!
So funny that Skulk is still in there.
Skulk is always going to be in there, and it will never leave us, and it will never be given to anyone else because no one has Skulk ever. This card does not auto include, whether you like it or not. You gotta have this guy in there, and we love Audric, and we're happy to see him reprinted. Great, cool. Let's
Love
move on.
Audric. We got another brand new one. This is a sort of a headliner Abzan commander. 1 white, black, green for Tyam Luminous Enigma. Legendary creature Nightmare Beast starts as a 3/3. Each other creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional vigilance counter on it. Now that vigilance counters are a thing, we know vigilance is very powerful in Commander because you can attack and also be defense for 3 other people's combat steps.
Yep.
But this ability is very neat, I think. 3 colorless, no taps. Remove 3 counters from among creatures you control. Put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. Then return a permanent card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield.
Wow.
That's great. It's got a hefty price because you got to reduce your board in some way, take counters away. But you're already throwing out vigilance counters for free. So that's kind of an easy one. And if you engineered a deck to have lots of creatures that came in with counters and all sorts of things, this is probably a very reasonable price. In the early game, you're going to be getting back lands that you've sacrificed to fetch out other lands. And then as the late game goes on, just your powerful utility creatures that help you close the game out. I think this is a fantastic Abzan commander.
Me too. I love how specific it is. Like, you might think that as like being limiting, just because it's like, well, it's only 3 or less. But to me, that opens up a bunch of different cool possibilities. Yes, obviously it only cares about 3 or less, but I just love that it's like it's about removing counters. Like, you can work with that synergy. You can obviously work with graveyard synergies. Like these ability counters are a thing. I like it, man. I'm excited about this. This is fun.
Yes.
Nightmare Beast. There's also a couple of, it looks like, reprinted legendaries, a couple more of them. We also have Karametra, God of the Harvest. It's the 3 green-white original Theros god. The 6/7 indestructible 7 devotion text, you know it. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may search your library for a force or plains card, put it into the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. Just a classic, just a solid green-white card. Basically include this in all your green-white decks. And yeah, it's nice when cards that are like getting up there in price, like Karametra, I think was starting to creep up into the like $7-8 range. Am I right about that?
Yeah, almost 10.
Yeah. So this reprint brings it down quite a bit. It's nice.
Wizards Thinks.
Ooh, Wizards Thinks.
We got another reprint, but unfortunately it is not the Achroma reprint we were hoping for. This is Achroma Angel of Wrath, 5 white, legendary angel, flying, first strike, vigilance, trample, haste, protection from black and from red. This is a 6/6. I get why this is in the deck. We need all those keywords, but man, we need Achroma's Memorial. That needs the reprint. That's the reprint we need. We don't need this.
Yeah, I agree. Chroma's Memorial. It's about time. Wizards, please.
Wizards, please.
Wizards, please. And our last reprinted legendary is Zatalpa, Primal Dawn, 6 white, legendary Elder Dinosaur, 4/8 with flying, double strike, vigilance, trample, indestructible. Obviously, just a killer include in this 99. And I mean, this one had already seen a reprint and is already down to about $1 in price, so that's great.
Great.
Let's talk about some of the new and exciting cards that are in the Abzan deck. So the first one is an interesting include. It's an interesting new design. It's called Cartographer's Hawk. 1 and a white for a bird. It's a 2/1 with flying. And it says, whenever it deals combat damage to a player who controls more lands than you, return it to its owner's hand. If you do, you may search your library for a plains card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and shuffle your library. Now, we've obviously seen we've seen a lot of cards that in white that like their version of ramp is like putting a plains in your hand or a number of plains, if someone has more lands than you. If someone has 7 lands, you have 5, you get to like look for 2 plains and put them in your hands. Well, this is interesting because you get to put it right on the battlefield, so it's kind of like a little rampant growth. But the fact that you have to keep returning it to your hand is kind of disappointing to me. Like, it's going to make it extra slow. It's still good if I think it's still good on turn 2. You play this on turn 2, and then your next turn around, you don't play your land that turn, right?
Yeah.
Depending on where you're in the turn order, but then you attack someone who's got the 3, or maybe they already ramped or something. Get your land, play your land, and like that's pretty good. Like already that's pretty good. Now you've got it back to your hand, so I guess it's not bad.
Yeah, but like let's not forget like the play pattern. Like early in the game, if you got your second mana, you drop Cartographer's Hawk. Your opponents have to either not play lands or play a Flying Defender, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because I don't mind putting it back to my hand because I'm just gonna recast it that turn, and it's like sort of like it has vigilance. Like I'm going to attack with it every turn once I've got it rolling until I've got all my lands back up. Because this happens in the combat step.
Yeah.
So
I kind of yeah.
On my second main, I'm gonna drop it back on the battlefield.
Yeah, I think it's good. It's good for the decks that'll need the ramp coming from somewhere other than green, obviously. So
I think mono, like this is the kind of ramp we have so desperately wanted in white. Just like I'll take it. I'll take it.
I agree. I'll take it. I think, and sort of the way you just explained it kind of makes it sound a little better. So yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, Cartographer's Hawk. We'll probably see this pop up in some white decks.
I think this is going to become expensive. It's the only deck it's in, and I think a lot of white decks will just want them.
Yeah, good call. Woo.
We've also got Slippery Bog Bonder, 3 and green, for a human druid, 3/3 flash and hex proof. When Slippery Bog Bonder enters the battlefield, put a hex proof counter on target creature. Then move any number of counters from among creatures you control onto that creature. Pretty neat.
Cool.
So flash hex proof is already pretty menacing, not to use another keyword for it, but like hex proof creatures are annoying. Like when you see a hexproof creature on your opponent's battlefield, they're going to do some shenanigans with it, and you're going to have a hard time stopping it. Not only that, this one makes something else hexproof, and the move would be to remove the creature they're targeting. So it's like, well, I'll destroy that creature before you get to put a hexproof counter on it. Haha. It's like, well, that's fine, but the only thing you've stopped is moving all of my other counters over to it. You don't have to commit to that. Your other creatures don't lose those counters if the creature's not there for it. And once it's there, it's got hexproof now, so now you can't do anything about it.
You're talking about a thing where like you do this at end of turn just because you have it up still, and then someone's like, ooh, I'm going to kill that in response.
Yeah, like so I cast my Slippery Bog Bonder and I was like, ooh, I'm going to try to aim to give it to this trample creature.
Right.
And then they're like, well, I'm going to remove that trample creature before it's hexproof. It's like, okay, fine. Then all my creatures will keep the hexproof that they had.
Yeah,
it does set me back.
It's nice that, it's still, obviously that's still bad, but like, you're right. It's nice that you don't have to move the counters if the creature gets removed in response.
And if they don't deal with it, it's like, well, great. Now this trampler has even more counters and you can't target removal it. So good luck.
In a world, you could also just do it to the Bog Bonder if like this thing... things are about to go south or something like that, right? Like Slippery Bog Bonder, while it already has hexproof, obviously, you can still move all the counters onto it for some reason if that were something that made sense to do. That's cool.
Well, that's a way to guarantee no one can stop that.
Exactly, yeah. Yep,
cool.
I love this card. Really neat. Next, we have Netherborn Altar. It's 1 and a black for an artifact. You tap it and put a soul counter on Netherborn Altar. Put your commander into your hand from the command zone. Then you lose 3 life for each soul counter on Netherborn Altar. So this is very cool. So this is kind of like, instead of paying the 2 mana commander tax, you end up paying 3 life as the commander tax.
Right.
A little bit, right? So you're kind of trading that.
You alternate, right? You do one with the altar. And let us remind you, this is the set where you can pull counters off of things pretty easy. So if you got that Sun Titan mimic, you could just pull all those soul counters off of this thing and just be like, never paying more than 3.
Can the Bog Bonder do that? Move any number of creatures you control? No, it can't. But still, you're right, though. There's still lots of ways to move counters around. That's pretty cool. This, to me, seems like it's very good.
Oh, you know what? I should clarify. I just double-checked. TAM cannot move counters away from non-creatures. That has to be a creature.
Okay.
But still, there are ways to remove counters.
Right. Yes, definitely. Netherborn Altar seems like in those life gain decks, man. This is an auto include in those Orzhov. I'm gaining crazy life. Like,
Oh my goodness,
it's like, well,
it doesn't
my
matter.
commander never costs more than its original.
Can you imagine that
mana
in
cost,
like
right?
Uncle Karlov there,
Ooh.
like where you're gaining
It's an
all
auto
that life?
include. It's an auto include in Karlov.
It will always be cheap anyway.
Always 2 mana commander from your hand, right?
That's incredible. Okay, this takes us next to the Impetus cycle. We've already talked about the green and the black one, but here's the white one. Martial Impetus, 2 and white. Enchant creature gets +1/+1 and is goaded. That's smaller than all the other ones. Whenever enchanted creature attacks each other creature that it's attacking one of your opponents, gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So it's kind of like incentivizes a big team attack on an opponent. It makes it a lot tougher to survive because it only gets +1/+1. Although I guess it would get each other. Yeah, so it only gets +1/+1. I think you're going to lose this creature on the first attack step.
Yeah, why did they make this one so bad?
I don't know.
Like, obviously, this one is better to play against I would play this on for example, like a commander of a token deck or something.
Sure.
But, like, those decks are the least likely to have something that's going to kill you just attacking you with one thing anyways. So I guess this incentivizes, like you're saying, the team to attack, not you.
Yeah, but, like, still, it's like it only gets +1/+1, so it's like, hey, my 4/4 commander is like, do you promise to block with your 6/6 and send my thing back away? It's like maybe they want to make that deal. I don't know. I guess you don't want to, though. You don't want to sacrifice your creature.
At least when the goad makes it, like, if it's done between 2 people, this won't pump their whole team when it's attacking you. Right? Because it says that it's only if it's attacking one of your opponents.
Yes, that's right.
Well, so I guess there's that. Yeah, I'm not wild about this one. So far, the blue one and the black one seem the best, oddly enough.
Yeah, best effect and the cheapest.
But that's so wild because, like, they're auras. You'd think the green and the white one would be good.
I don't know.
Anyways, is that... Where are we here? Oh, no, we got another one. We have Nesting Grounds. So this is a land that... it's just in this one, right?
Oh, yeah, this is just on this one.
Yeah, so Nesting Grounds is a land. It taps to add colorless mana. And you can also pay 1 and tap it to move a counter from target permanent you control onto another target permanent. Activate this ability only anytime you would cast a sorcery. So, as we were
This is how to get him off that Netherborn Altar.
Yeah, Netherborn Altar is going to work great with that. Any of these fun counters that we're getting with Cathril or whatever, this is going to be huge. And I love that it costs only 1 mana and tapping it. So essentially 2 mana. That's a fair price to me for something that can end up being pretty wild, I think.
This is the only way to... Right, and this is so far the first way we can manipulate loyalty counters. Like, we can move loyalty counters from one planeswalker to another.
Good call, yeah. And I love that it's colorless, so we can include it in any deck that wants to do it. Great.
And lastly, we're going to cover the if you control your commander card for this deck. It's the green one. 2 and a green if you don't control your commander, or free if you do control your commander. A commander. It's an instant card that says prevent all damage that would be dealt this turn by creatures your opponents control. One-way fog.
I don't like it.
I don't love it.
I think fogs are underrated, and like fogs are okay in Commander. It's not like I think they're
this
like
is better than a fog.
Better than a fog for sure. So there is that, right? Like, but I'm saying like in relation to the other ones.
Yeah.
So we've only talked about the black one so far, but it's to be noted that the white one, the blue one, and the red one are all pretty decent. Mm-hmm. The blue one's very good. I think the white one's very good too. We'll get there when we talk about it, but I think this is like by far the worst of them. This doesn't. Yeah, I think it's the best fog you could have, I guess, maybe. But here's the thing. How much different is free from 1? So if I'm running just straight up fog, this costs 3 if I don't have my commander out. What if I don't have my commander out? This card sucks.
Yeah, I mean, it's that one-sidedness. Like, that's
Yeah, I guess if you're blocking, you're still going to deal the damage and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, okay. All right. You know what? That's actually better. Yeah, okay. You know what? It doesn't suck. I take it back. It's just easily the worst of the ones I think that you have, because instead of like doing something like protecting your commander or removing a creature, which I gotta say the black one is good, but it's not like I don't think it's even close to being the best one, because I think these cards work the best when they are protecting your commander. So this one does and can do that, but like the blue, the red one, and the white one end up, I think, doing that a lot better.
Right.
Because this is what I always thought of these. I'm like, you cast your commander on the turn you're supposed to. Then now we have Obscuring Haze or whatever it is. Now we can, like, hopefully this will be a protection so that they can't kill my commander this turn. That's why I really like the red, white, and blue ones. But but this one is just like, it can be a blowout turn. But like you kind of have to, I don't know. It has to be like the totally right deck. Whereas again, those other ones I think go in just about every deck.
Yeah, it would go good in a blowouts tribal deck.
Oh man, I played against a blowout tribal deck the other day. We played.
It was awful. Everything they did was a blowout.
It was terrible. I got blown out. I truly did. I truly did. I really did. I played against Rob's like Mardu, like prevent redirect damage deck, and I got just murdered, but just took care of my mono red dragon deck.
Yeah.
Whew. I got blown out. So Obscuring Haze, like, I think it's deck dependent. I do think fogs, like I've always said, fogs are better than we think in Commander. So there is a place for this, but I just think in this cycle it's like the least, like, I don't know, maybe it's the least useful one.
Yeah. This takes us to the reprint section. We're going to do a little Wizards Thinks for the reprints they gave us in this deck. And there are no like standout $10 cards that we've been crying out for reprints. But I will say they're doing a great job at including their, like, some staple cards to keep the prices low, right? If they didn't reprint these often, they wouldn't be expensive. I'm talking about stuff like Skullwinder, Hornet Queen, Mimic Bat. These are some cards in here that they're not too expensive anyway, but these reprints ensure that they will stay not expensive. They're very good in many decks. So Wizards thanks for giving us some cheap staples to keep them cheap.
Wizards thanks. Okay. Well, that is the Abzan deck then. Very cool. So we're two down. We're only 3 to go. We're moving. This is obviously always a longer episode, so thanks for sticking with us, and let's keep it rolling. Okay, so the next deck we're going to talk about here is the Jeskai deck, which is called, I have it here, it's called Timeless Wisdom. Okay, there we go. Great.
And I would arguably wisdom is timeless by definition.
I guess so. Well, here to prove it even more is this Jeskai deck. Sean, you want to take the first one here?
Sure, here's the headliner. So we'll just, before we do, the theme of this deck is cycling. Right. It's all about cycling, cards with cycling, bonuses when you cycle, when you discard, when you draw. Cool. So this is the headliner. This is the front of the box. Gavi Nest Warden, 2 blue, red, white, 5 CMC for a human shaman, 2/5. You may pay 0 rather than pay the cycling cost of the first card you cycle each turn. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 2/2 red and white dinosaur cat creature token. And if you can pull up that token image, that is the cutest token that they have ever made.
I'll try and find it.
It's at the bottom on Scryfall. You can just click the token, like on this page, there's like a token option.
Oh, there is? I never knew that.
Yeah, they always do that kind of stuff.
Wait, where?
Farther down.
Oh, there it is. You're right. Oh, okay, here it is. Are you guys ready to see this? Dinosaur cat? Bam! Look at this cutie.
It's so cute. It's
so
cute.
It's got a little teethies.
Mm-hmm. With the scale birds to show that it is
quite small.
Very small? It's huge.
Yeah, no, is it?
Are those birds? It looks like there's scale birds. Oh, there's scale birds in the background.
I was going to say, that's in the background. This guy looks like he's just the size of a regular house cat.
Sure, it's a 2/2. Anyway.
But maybe not. See, they would have had something next to it, I think, showing you that it was really big.
Yeah. We all know that they changed the scale birds all through development in the art to like reflect the power changes. But
sure.
Here's why I love this card. So cycling is one of those cards that like it's not asking us to cycle every card we have. Right? I mean, if we cycle a card, that's fine. We get to cycle it for no mana, which is amazing. Mm-hmm. We get to draw a card, and if we've already drawn a card, a cycle will by definition be our second card. So we're going to get a dinosaur cat creature token. But the fact that we don't necessarily have to cycle to draw cards, that second ability is not tied to cycling by definition. That would be parasitic. It's tied to a normal game mechanic, drawing cards.
Yep.
So any way we want to do that, we get those cat tokens, which I think makes this a fantastic commander.
Yeah.
And you could pay 0, like most cycling costs are just 2, but there are definitely some
There's some
cycling
crazy
costs that cost a lot more that
Yeah.
have a bigger effect. So
Yeah.
I mean that this is a very good effect.
Yeah, it is very good. Like you were saying, that's what I was gonna say. Like there's a couple cycling costs out there that are like that are more than the casting cost, and then they have some big effect that happens. The one that I mean, I think we're gonna read the one that I'm thinking of. So yeah, let's just we'll see it in a sec, and it's really really cool.
Sure.
I'm also excited about Gavi Nest Warden. I love it. Cat dinosaurs are right where I want to be.
Yeah. That takes us to the partners for the deck.
Right, so we start here with Brawlin. Just straight up Brawlin, dude. Sky Shark Rider, 3 and a red. The legendary human shaman, 3/3, partners with Shabraz, the Sky Shark. And whenever you discard a card, you put a +1/+1 counter on Brawlin Sky Shark Rider, and it deals 1 damage to each opponent. And you can also pay red, and target shark gains trample until end of turn.
So weird.
So already a pretty good wheel commander if you want to, for some reason, make the mono-colored deck. But if we want to be partnering up, we get our boy Shabraz, the Sky Shark. 3 white-blue for the legendary Shark Bird. It's a 3/3, partners with Brawlin. Flying, whenever you draw a card, you put a +1/+1 counter on Shabraz, and you gain 1 life. And then you can pay a hybrid white-blue, so either white or blue, and target human gains flying until end of turn. I love the very obvious synergy going on here. Yeah, this is a fun combo to me. This is really great. I love in Magic, when we draw sharks, they just look like regular black-eyed monster, like sharks.
Yeah.
The shark obviously has wings and is a magical creature, but also it's just a shark with wings. There's nothing other, the colors are the same. There's no there's no spikes on it or anything. It's just a shark. I love it.
It's so crazy.
But this is the wheel. I mean, obviously this wants you to wheel. This wants you to discard all your cards and then draw that many cards, right? And obviously red, blue, these are definitely the colors for it. So this is definitely a partnership that really wants you to do that. I think, like I said, whereas Brawlin, obviously discarding is something that you want to be doing. Shabraz is maybe one of the better on its own commanders. You could just run this in a blue-white deck and it's really good.
Yeah.
Just something that wants to draw a ton of cards, get really big, gain life. This is a fine blue-white commander to run just like a card draw go type of deck in if you wanted. I don't know. I love obviously the partnership. That's where the power is, right? That's where you want us to be. But I also love breaking down hey, they've also given us, they haven't just given us a partner commander. They've given us 2 individual commanders also, right? So that's why I love talking about those as well.
Yeah. So this is a Jeskai deck. Brawlin themselves does the 1 damage to each opponent. So if we can find the colorless ways to give Brawlin infect, then you just got to discard 10 cards and the table's dead. So that's, yeah.
Well, there is one. We know there's a grafted exoskeleton.
Right.
Put that on Brawlin wheel. You're laughing.
Sure. Let's cover another big Jeskai commander. This is 2 blue, red, white for a legendary bird dinosaur. Arguably, dinosaurs are sort of birds anyway. This is a 3/4 with flying. Whenever you create 1 or more tokens for the first time each turn, create a 1/1 white bird creature token with flying. It doesn't double your tokens, but it gives you a bonus 1/1 white bird creature token.
You going to tell them what the name of it is?
Akeem, the Soaring Wind.
Yeah.
And I missed the name.
Yeah.
So Akeem, the Soaring Wind. And then the extra activated ability is 3 blue, red, white. That's 1 more than the CMC of this creature. Creature tokens you control gain double strike until end of turn. It's very powerful if you have tons of flying creatures. You sort of, do I want to give tons of... because you're only getting that 1 bonus 1/1 white bird. So hopefully I've got other tokens elsewhere. Like this isn't my main way of making tokens. It can't be. It just gives you a bonus for it.
Yeah.
And Akeem's main ability is to wait until you're ready to strike and give all of those creatures double strike.
Yeah, this seems to me like a 99 card. We
Yeah.
haven't truly run across any of those yet, although I kind of thought that maybe about some of the Sultai, like the Sultai partners. I was thinking that a little bit. But Akeem is the first one that jumps out to me as like, oh, this is actually probably just better in the 99 of something like a Kikar, or what was the other...
I mean,
Elsha?
I think
right?
you should
Yeah.
go listen to Commander's Brew episode 211.
Yes.
Because Elsha of the Infinite Tokens is the deck that this wants to be in the 99 of.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. You also, before that, made a really cool Jeskai Tokens deck also. Don't forget, you made...
Jeskai Token Squall.
Jeskai
This
Token
was,
Squall.
Right. Sort of Storm, but not Storm with Shu Yun.
That's right. So yeah, there's this, for those reasons, this to me says more about, that says like this wants to be a 99. But a good creature though, a good card still for sure in those decks. Next we have some reprints here. We have Asperia, the Supreme Judge, 2 white, blue, 6 mana for the legendary Sphinx. It's a 6/4 flying, and whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, you may draw a card. This one was not expensive, but hey, still whatever. I actually kind of love getting these like kind of like bulk mythics almost in these commander decks, because it's like, oh, you know what? I didn't have Asperia before. Sure, it's only $1 or less, but like now I got this other commander I can brew with if I really wanted to. It's great.
Yeah. We also have another copy of Niv Mizzet the Firemind. This is the one that's 2 blue, red, legendary dragon wizard, 4/4 flying. Whenever you draw a card, Niv Mizzet deals 1 damage to target creature or player, and you can tap to draw a card. This is the one that goes infinite, right? You put some sort of thing that whenever it deals damage, you draw a card. So you draw a card, it deals damage, you draw a card, it deals damage, you draw a card. As long as you have enough cards in your library to cover the amount of damage to kill the table, you win the game.
Yeah, this is a great creature, and the only better one is the Niv Mizzet Perun. And this is a big Wizard's Thugs for the Locust God. 4 blue, red for the legendary god. It's 4/4 flyer. Whenever you draw a card, you create a 1/1 blue and red insect creature token with flying and haste. You can pay 2 blue, red to draw a card, then discard a card or loot. And then when Locust God dies, you return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. It's part of that cycle. This card is expensive, so I'm very happy to see this reprinted in this deck. And this is the type of thing where sometimes you're like, oh, like they could have just printed this and it could have just brought the price down. They could have included this in the commander deck. It's perfect for this deck. Well, they did it. It's like it almost seems like they got the message, and maybe this is a little bit making up for some of the mistakes that were made in that Jund Lands deck, because this is definitely the type of card that should be reprinted in this deck, and it is, and I'm happy. That's why we're saying, ooh, Wizards Thugs.
Great. Let's cover some exciting new cards that this deck brings us. First up, Cryptic Trilobite. It's an XX creature. It starts as a 0/0, but it enters with X +1/+1 counters on it. So already, if we have ways to generate massive amounts of mana, we can make this a very big creature out of nowhere. Original Little Rakdos loves this kind of creature. You can remove a +1/+1 counter from it to add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool, but you can only use that mana on activated abilities. You can pay 1 and tap to put a +1/+1 counter on this Cryptic Trilobite. So you're investing in your future by tapping and putting counters on this, because you're going to get 2 back. Unfortunately, that's not just 2 mana on anything. That has to be on abilities. But there's tons. Cycling is an ability.
Yep.
What do we have? Mutate is an ability. So
No.
I think is Mutate an ability?
Mutate is an alternate casting.
It's an alternate cast. Okay, so Mutate is not. There's lots of abilities. There's that Sultai, the one from the Abzan deck that's sort of Sun Titan. You can remove counters to bring permanents back. This can go in a lot of decks.
True.
And it's pretty cheap to get down, and I'm happy to run it.
It's very interesting that in both of these sets, we're seeing colorless creatures that are not artifacts, nor are they Eldrazi. They're just straight up colorless.
I hadn't noticed.
And
yeah.
I saw someone ask someone, I think from Wizards on Twitter, like, why is that? And while their answer makes sense, they were just like they said that like they wanted to make some colorless creatures, but it didn't make sense to make them artifacts for this world, which I think is
Right.
that makes sense to me. That's true. That's fine. Same thing with Eldrazi. Obviously, they're not Eldrazi, but when you look at this thing, to me, I'm like, what makes this colorless? Like you've used the lore to sort of explain one thing. Is that like, okay, well, there's no artifacts really, I guess, on Ikoria, but like, why is this colorless then in the lore? Like just
Right.
it's that part. If you're gonna use like kind of the world building to like explain away why it's not a thing, it should also explain why it is a thing, and that's not it. Like, maybe someone correct me if I'm wrong, or someone maybe from Wizards knows the answer. Maybe they can sort of chime in on that. But like to me, it's like, okay, well, okay, I guess, sure, like, but this is
Where'd
so
it crawl
obvious.
out of?
This is so obviously in the realm of being an artifact. Like this is the same type of ability that we see on like Hangerback Walker or a Walking Ballista. It's like the 2x. You remove a counter, you get an ability, you pay 1 to put it on. So it's like great to run this out on 2, give it 1 counter, and then like later like pay 1, tap it, then remove. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's there's whatever. Like the answer is they didn't want to make artifacts for this.
So
It's like,
it didn't come from the plains. It didn't come from the water. It didn't
Yeah.
come from the mountains. It didn't come from the forests, and it didn't come from the swamps. It came from space.
this thing is an alien.
Yeah, it came from space.
Yeah, there it
That's
is.
the only explanation.
Thanks for giving us the first alien Wizards things. Okay. What's next here?
Ooh, this one's fun.
Oh yeah, okay. We have Surly Badgersaur. 3 and a red for the creature. It's a badger dinosaur. It's a 3/3. Whenever you discard a creature card, put a +1/+1 counter on it. And whenever you discard a land card, create a treasure token. And whenever you discard a non-creature, non-land card, Surly Badgersaur fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. Very interesting. I love it. It's like the Waste Not for red. Very cool.
Now
I
we
like it a
got to
lot.
get one of these for the other colors now. We got to get a
Oh.
green one. We got to get a white one. We got to get a blue one.
Do we, or is discarding really is it a really good red-black thing?
I mean, it is a good red-black thing. It obviously makes sense in a cycling deck
Yes.
because cycling is discarding. So like Madness also works with this.
Yeah. I like this. I like this design. I don't know how I feel about that third thing being it fights. I know they're like
It's optional.
Is it?
It fights
No.
up to 1.
Oh yeah, you're right. Up to 1. Yeah. Okay. Well, at least it's okay. That's why I thought it was like you had to.
And if you're discarding creatures, it's getting bigger. So
True.
that fight starts to look better and better as it goes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You know what? You sold me. I'm in. I love it. I seriously am. +1/+1 counter is getting it bigger, and the fact that it's optional, cool. Very cool.
And the
Yep.
treasure part too, right? You chuck a
Treasure part's
land, but
great.
you're getting a land, sort of.
Yeah.
I do love it.
And you're gonna. I mean, again, this is the wheel deck, right? So you're not really discarding. Like you're
No.
gonna get all those cards back. So yeah,
Yeah.
really cool.
Let's talk about Agitator Ant. 2 and a red for an insect. It's a 2/2. It's really gross. I find this a really gross picture.
Really?
Yeah, this bothers me. I guess because it's an ant. I don't like ants.
I'd like to know how big this thing is. Like I know it's a
About
2/2,
2/2.
but look at it. Is that a tiny little rock and it's a regular sized ant? Is that the size of a dog? Is that a
Could have used
huge
some
monster?
scale animals. Yeah.
Would like to see some scale here.
So here's what it does. At the beginning of your end step, each player may put 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature they control. Goad each creature that had counters put on it this way. I love it. I love it. Do you want some counters? You just gotta you make you a deal. You can have those counters, but you gotta go somewhere else with them. It does get dicey if your opponents have ways to tap creatures without getting into combat, because then they can be just like, fine, I'll just tap them. Then they don't have to fight anybody.
Yeah.
It's like that's all. That's fine. We'll go with that. And eventually they don't have to take the deal and they can come back at you. But I do like goading, and I'll take any card that says goad on it.
When I first saw this, I thought it was an ETB ability, but the fact that it happens every end step is like this could like really turn not in your favor at some point.
Yeah, but
I-
how great will it be before that?
Yeah, I agree. I like it. I like the fact that it's that type of card. Okay, we have is Portal Mage, 2 and a blue for a 2/2 with flash. When Portal Mage enters the battlefield during the declare attacker's step,
You may reselect which player or planeswalker target attacking creature is attacking. This is cool. This is cool. Now, and it's a commander card, so it's complicated, and it says declare attacker step. I'm into it. This is weird. It has the old. Is this a reprint?
Is this a reprint? It is a reprint from 2017. I totally missed it.
Me too. I don't remember this card at all, so this is not
this
a new
card. This card is not in my memory.
Me neither. But neat that they're reprinting it, and I love this ability, so great.
Thank you.
Very fun. Thank you, Wizard Sticks.
We've got Ethereal Forager, 4 blue for an elemental whale. It's a creature with 3/3 and flying, but it also has Delve, so we can potentially get a 3/3 for just blue, a 3/3 flyer for blue. Whenever Ethereal Forager attacks, you may return an instant or sorcery card exiled with Ethereal Forager to its owner's hand. That's pretty cool. We're going to delve away some instants and sorceries, and if it's around to attack, we're going to get those babies right back.
I love it. I love this ability. I love that they're doing the thing that like normally when you delve cards away, you just like put them in your exile zone and you just like turn them sideways, however you indicate that on your board. This will be cool because you'll be delving cards under it, right? Because you'll need to keep track of that because it is ones that are exiled with this card. So that's how you'll be able to do it.
And after you cast them again, they go back to your graveyard.
They go to the graveyard, exactly.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Playing around in zones.
This is a good card. Like this is this is really good. I love this a lot. Okay, next we have Dismantling Wave, and this is one I was talking about with the big cycling cost. So 2 and a white for a sorcery that says for each opponent destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment that player controls. Already love it. Already very into this card. 3 mana sorcery, okay, sure, but you get multiple things. Like this is worth it in every deck that can run it. Basically, it's like I think so. You're always going to be able to take out powerful enchantments and artifacts, and in a pinch, even if it only hits one thing, honestly, it's fine. But it also has cycling for 6 white. That's 8. So
8.
So when you cycle this card, so you will discard it and draw a card. But when you cycle it, destroy all artifacts and enchantments. And
that's an instant speed ability.
That is, exactly. So that's the thing, right? So sorcery for when you're casting, but cycling is always instant speed. I'm very glad you mentioned that. So that's crazy, especially if you're running what's her face, Gavi. Like this is 0 on like your opponent's turn. If you haven't cycled anything, you just get to do this for free at instant speed. Monstrous ability. So love this card. Love it specifically. Very much love it in this deck. I like how do I feel about it outside of this deck? That cycling ability is very expensive, but like it's gonna be pretty good, especially against if you come up against like an artifact deck or something. Like that's wild.
We like the fact that it's so expensive doesn't matter because I'm happy to run it for the front side, the sorcery side.
Agreed.
So I mean, big deal. Like if I never cycle it, fine.
Yep, agreed.
Next up, Shiny Impetus. This is the last Impetus we haven't covered yet, though the enchanted creature, and it has goad and +2/+2. So this is 2 and a red, +2/+2, and it is goaded. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, you create a treasure token. Okay.
I like this one. I like this one the most, maybe.
Treasure, yeah, like, extra mana is so good.
Yeah, extra mana is great. The blue one's good too. It's helping you with smoothing out your draws, getting a little selection. Yeah, I like Shiny Impetus in the decks that want to run this sort of effect. Obviously, like if you're not like I wouldn't just put this in any red deck or anything. But there's an argument to be made. This is probably, what do you think about this versus the red curse that is a single red? So that obviously that's much better. But then if that person gets attacked, you get a treasure token, and the person who did the attacking gets a treasure token. What do you think of that? What's better?
That's tough. That is so tough. Like my brain is like in a knot trying to figure that out, because on one hand, Curse of Opulence, you can get a few treasures a turn because more than one person can attack that person. Yeah. But also, people often don't, because they don't want to give you that thing. You've played it for a reason. Here, they have to do it, unless they can figure out a way to sacrifice their creature somehow. But again, they're probably not going to just outright sack the creature. You will have put this on a creature that's good enough that they don't want to just sack it. It will be worth attacking an opponent to give you that treasure for that opponent. So, I mean, I think this one, like, Curse of Opulence has higher upside if your opponents aren't playing carefully. But I find with those old curses, so many times they don't work because my opponents are just like, well, okay, fine, I just won't do it for a little until it's like important.
I know.
I've
actually been disappointed in that card because a lot of times it actually dissuades attacking that person.
Yeah,
it's the opposite. Even though they're going to get a treasure token, sometimes people are like, well, I don't need it, so I'm not going to attack them just for that.
I'm not going to give you one.
Plus, you get one. Like, get out of here. Like, I'll attack you. It's like, what? No, that's not what I was trying to do. So this I guess kind of depending on who you're playing against, Shiny Impetus could be a lot better. Okay. So now we have the if you control your commander, the free card. So I mentioned this when I was talking about the ones I liked, and it's Fierce Guardianship, 2 and a blue. It's the blue one. Instant, if you control a commander, you can cast this for free, basically. Counter target non-creature spell. Yeah, thanks. Basically, Force of Will, sure, no problem. Like, it's free negate if you have a commander. Come on. Not only does this do the protecting I was talking about, it protects it against everything. So, spoiler alert: the white one gives indestructible. The red one moves a targeted spell, changes the target. The green one prevents damage. And the black one just exiles a creature, so it's kind of on its own. It's like a different thing. But the other 4, it seems, these 4, they protect your commander or want to do something like that, right? This one is by far the best because it stops all of it. It stops board wipes. It stops targeted removal. It stops, I don't know, anything coming down from their hand, anything cast that obviously isn't a creature. It's going to stop it. Like, this is... Negate is, I think, my favorite counterspell in Commander, almost. Like, obviously, regular counterspell is great, but, like, past that, like, Negate is really good. It's, like, very, very effective as a protection spell, and this is just oftentimes free. You can cast your commander, and if you have this in your hand, you just protect it. You have the answer to protect it. I love it. It's so good.
Yeah, this is the reason to get this deck, right? It's already pre-selling for like $30 because it's like going to be a CEDH staple.
That is correct. Yes, that's right. Yep. Oh man, it's messing around with free spells is trouble. It can be trouble sometimes. So we'll see how that affects that. Those people's metas in their game, the competitive scene. For me, it's something that, like, I'm not going to go to my way to get this card and add it to every deck or anything like that. Obviously, it's going to be expensive, but I'll buy the pre-con and I'll have one. It'll be fun.
Yep.
Great.
For reprints, there's no like amazing reprints that we've been crying for. Again, just a couple of staples. I do want to highlight Fluctuator though. It's the 2-mana artifact that says cycling abilities you activate cost up to 2 generic less to activate, because a bunch of speculators bought out old copies of this because it was rarely printed, but then they revealed it was in this deck, and then the price has just plummeted back again. I think it's still, whenever that happens, it takes a little while for the price to come back down. But I just included it because I just want to say, like, the people who just go and scoop up Fluctuators because they hear it's a cycling deck are probably the same people who hoard toilet paper during all this pandemic. It's like, you don't need 100 Fluctuators. You're just greedy. I have very little patience for people who play the market in this card game. You're taking Fluctuators away from people who might actually want to use them. And you can't possibly use that many copies of this obscure specific card. You're just being opportunistic, and you're trying to take advantage of people who just want to play for profit, for nothing more than a couple extra bucks.
Well, I don't want to get too deep into that, but there's some things to be said. But anyways, Fluctuator, I'm really happy they reprinted it. And you know what? Wizards can kind of avoid all that by doing this type of stuff in the future, by, like, just printing the cards that make the most sense to put in the deck. This is another one of those examples of you, like, this card exists, why not include it in the deck? And we actually got it this time. Traditionally, we haven't seen these types of reprints, and now we're seeing it, and it's Bit of a Wizards Thanks moment. Yeah, hashtag Wizards Thanks. Great one. Great one to include there. I love it. And just mentioned again, Locust God was reprinted, which was also one that was like getting expensive. And we already talked about it. Okay, great. Let's do the Teamer deck.
Yeah.
This is a fun one. Teamer, it is
The theme of
called
this deck. Oh yeah, what's it called first?
Arcane Maelstrom.
Arcane Maelstrom. I don't know what the theme specifically of this deck is beyond general shenanigans. And I
Seems
don't mean,
like it.
I don't mean a card with delve that lets you destroy an artifact. It's just like stealing spells, copying spells,
Yeah.
redirecting spells, just doing a lot of shenanigans.
It's a lot of instant sorcery manipulation that then also gives you an effect. It seems like on top of your instant and sorcery stuff. So it's cool. Yeah, this is a good one. Poster child. Who are we talking about?
So cover the deck. Calamax, the Storm Sire. 1 green, blue, red, legendary elemental dinosaur. 4/4. Whenever you cast your first instant spell each turn, okay, if Calamax, the Storm Sire, is tapped, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. And whenever you copy an instant spell, not a sorcery, put a +1/+1 counter on Calamax. So the easiest way to tap is to attack. So we're attacking as a 4/4 on 4. We can probably find a board where that's a safe attack. And we can squeeze in an instant spell on someone's turn if we can cast one on every turn, we can copy it every turn. So I'm looking at like cheap cantrippy draw kind of stuff. That could be fun. And then Calamax is now bigger, so I now have an even better chance to get a safe attack and keep that cycle going. I love it.
I think there's a reason this thing's called the Storm Sire, to be honest with you. I think you're going to be... I mean, you could build a Storm deck that takes advantage of this ability, oddly enough.
Yeah.
You could I love this card because it makes you... Like, you're going to build something with instants in it, obviously. But those instants, you can either choose to, like, ignore the fact that Calamax is getting bigger and wants to attack, or you can just tap it down with your own, like, separate stuff and just focus on the copying stuff, and then eventually maybe swing with them. But, like, the swinging with him doesn't even have to be the main thing you want to do, or you can really lean on that. Like, I love it. I think this is really great. I think it's very cool.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
very cool.
I'm excited
Very
about this
cool.
guy. Calamax is cool. Okay, let's talk about the partners. Right. These are our guys. These are the ones that we got to spoil. So we've already talked about them in our little preview video, our little quick brew. But we've got Halden, Avid Arcanist, the Tuna Blue 1/4 that partners with Peiko, Arcane Retriever, Peiko. You may play non-creature cards from exile with fetch counters on them if you exiled them, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast those spells. And then we've got Peiko, Arcane Retriever, 3 red, green, legendary elemental hound. He's a 3/3, partners with Halden. Haste. Whenever Peiko, Arcane Retriever attacks, exile the top card of each player's library, then put a fetch counter on each of them. Put a +1/+1 counter on Peiko for each non-creature card exiled this way. So we get to flip everything over, put counters on them. If we have Halden, we can cast the non-creature. Yeah, the non-creatures that way, and Paco gets bigger. Or Peiko, whatever.
And play the lands.
As we talked about in the little preview video, we're super stoked about both of these cards. I love the thing that, like, if you put fetch counters on lands that you flip over, you can include a lot of this, like, extra land drop stuff, or that just at the very least just allows you to be hitting your land drops every turn, and not to mention getting outside colors and being able to cast those outside spells this way. I really like this dichotomy that they're riding with this deck, in that it's like build with instants and sorceries in mind, but also have it affect your creatures and have it affect your commander in a big way, right? So Paco's going to get bigger. Calamax is going to get bigger. I love that they're working with these two sides of things that usually you generally don't brew them together, right? You don't brew an instance and sorcery deck that copies stuff in mind to, like, affect this one creature. It's like, but I like that they're kind of opening up that as an option.
Yeah, check out our preview episode if you want to hear a little bit more on these two specifically. And they, as Andy alluded to, they gave us a ton of creatures that deal with instants and sorceries, and a lot of those are legendaries, so there's a ton of other legendaries in the deck. They've reprinted Rashmi, Eternity's Crafter. This is the 2 green blue legendary elf druid. Starts as a 2/3, but when you cast your first spell each turn, yours and your opponent's, reveal the top card of your library. If it's not a land, if it's a non-land card with converted mana cost less than the spell you cast to trigger this ability, you may cast it without paying its mana cost, and if you don't, put it in your hand. So you're either drawing the spell or you're casting it right now. With instants, we're able to do that on our opponent's turns as well. That plays right into it.
Great card. We've always loved Rushby. We brewed with her a long time ago, and it's just an awesome commander to have, and just a great card in the 99 for a lot of decks too. Obviously, here that's what we're talking about. We also get another classic reprint of our boy Talran, the Sky Summoner. 2 blue, just an auto include in any deck where you're loading up on instants and sorceries. It's a legendary merfolk. It's a 2/2. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you create a 2/2 blue Drake creature token with flying. Very, very good.
Awesome. Let's talk about another special teamer commander that's new to the deck. This is Xyris, Xyris. Xyris, the Writhing Storm. 2 green, blue, red, 5 CMC for a Snake Leviathan. It starts as a 3/5. It has flying, and whenever an opponent draws a card, except for the first one they draw in each of their draw steps, so basically any bonus cards, right? There's that one normal game draw that doesn't count, but any other draw does. Create a 1/1 green snake creature token. Excellent. Whenever Xyris deals combat damage to a player, you and that player each draw that many cards. That's great politics. Hey, do you want to draw 3 cards? I'm also going to draw 3 and get 3 snakes, but you can have 3 cards. So that's a pretty good deal. Obviously, we're going to look to like Wheel again. There's another Wheel commander deck.
Yeah, another good Wheel commander for sure.
Right? Just if when the table draws 7 cards, you get 1,000,000 snakes. That's pretty good.
Yeah, wow, this is great. Yeah, 3/5 flying, very cool. Just like it's kind of like weirdly random stats for the Snake Leviathan. Like the fact that it has flying is just like weird to me. Yeah, I don't know. I think this opens it up for, you don't have to go Wheels, right? Like you can just go, this type of cantrip thing that you were talking about with Calamax is going to be great for Xyris too. So I like that synergy. That's cool.
It's gonna be a I want one time I want to have Xyris out, I want to have an Ogre Battle Driver out, and I want to wheel the table and make like 21 3/1 haste green snakes.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. That's what you're gonna do with this deck. That's an amazing move. Yeah.
Yeah.
We also have a few more reprints. We've got Itali, Primal Storm, 4 red, legendary Elder Dinosaur, the 6/6 that when it attacks, you exile the top card of each player's library. And you can cast any number of non-land cards exiled this way without paying their mana cost. Just love Itali. It just
there's the theme.
So much value, and yeah, just right at home in this deck. Love this reprint.
Yeah, they gave us Melek Izzet Paragon.
Seems like they always do.
They do. Like no one has made a good Melek deck. I mean, actually, someone probably has, but like it's tough.
It's tough.
4 blue red legendary weird wizard. 2/4. Play with the top card of your library revealed. You may cast the top card if it's an instant or sorcery card, and whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, if it came from the top of your library, you copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. I mean, that's great. We love copying spells. I mean, we're getting to the point where we're like, are there too many creatures in this deck? Like we can't auto-include all of these creatures, otherwise we got no more room for instants and sorceries.
Yeah, speaking of which, Wart the Raid Mother is 4, and then the 2 hybrid Gruul for a 6-mana 3/3 legendary Goblin Shaman. When she enters, you create 2 1/1 red and green Goblin Warrior creature tokens, and then each red and green instant or sorcery spell you cast has Conspire. So it means you have to tap 2 untapped creatures you control that share a color with it, and then when you do, you copy it and choose new targets.
Great.
Yeah, just a like, these are the go-to creatures for this type of deck. Melek, Wart, you're always going to see these things.
I think this is fantastic. So what a great design. Give us all of them, and then let us brew to taste. Let us take out the ones we don't like. Let us keep the ones we do. We obviously need more instants and sorceries and less creatures, but let us decide how we want to do that. Just give us the tools and let us have fun.
Agreed. I think, agreed. These are good reprints. not that these cards were specifically these last like couple were not that they were expensive or anything, but it's just good to just have them in the deck because that's don't make me go out and get them. They're here.
Yes, yes.
Hashtag Wizard Slicks.
Uh,
Great. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get onto the other new cards.
okay. First up, Nascent Metamorph. 1 and a blue for a shapeshifter as a 1/1. Whenever Nascent Metamorph attacks or blocks, target opponent reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a creature card. Nascent Metamorph becomes a copy of that card until end of turn. Then that player puts all cards revealed this way on the bottom in a random order. That's probably going to be a very good creature almost every time. And sometimes you're going to get creatures with, like, when it deals combat damage effects. I think this is an amazing, chaotic include. At 2 mana, it comes down early. You're going to get a couple of hits in. And
Yeah, I'm excited to see my first attack with a Nascent Metamorph, honestly.
Yeah,
It's going to be cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously, like, it's like a clone style thing, so you're not going to get it's kind of a bummer because you're not going to get an ETB effect, and you're also not going to get an when they attack effect, which I know those are a little more rare, but so that's the bummer when you get the clones that aren't just ETB clones. But the fact that this changes into different things, I mean, that's also, unpredictable, but fun. You know what? This is a high fun rating card. Might
Also
not be
fun-
as practical as we might want it to be, but I think it's high fun level.
Like, especially if you've got a little bit of equipment on this, then whatever it turns into is also wearing that equipment. Like, that's pretty decent.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great one to do, like, what's it called? Blade of Selves?
Blade of Cells. Oh, man. I want
Actually,
an
would
Ember Cleave on this
Actually, I
thing.
guess they would miss the attack trigger on Blade of Selves. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah, anyways.
Well, the original one would be...
The original one would
No,
switch.
they would miss them.
Yeah, they would miss it. Anyways.
Like, give me an Ember Cleave. Double strike and trample, and then whatever I turn into hopefully is very big.
Very cool. I'm sure there's lots of other stuff you can do with this type of ability because it is pretty like you don't really see this one very often. This is kind of cool. Okay, next we have Eon Frolicker, 2 blue for the Elemental Otter. We're seeing a lot of otters coming up on Ikoria, apparently. It's a 5/5 flyer, and it says whenever it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, target opponent takes an extra turn after this one. Until your next turn, you and planeswalkers you control gain protection from that player. So I like the political possibilities of this card. I think it's very interesting. It's like, who wants the extra turn? And, what are you going to give me? Am I going to get paid back? Giving an opponent an extra turn is a dangerous game, especially when it's like, you're kind of just getting a 5/5 flyer out of it, which is like, you're getting it above rate, 4 mana, which is good. But the fact that you gain protection is like, well, they can't even do anything to you in that extra turn, I love it.
Yeah, it's the ultimate, like, it enforces its own deal. It's just like, if you want this deal, do you, like, normally we would give that deal, like, do you promise not to attack me next turn? And it's like, well, now you really don't have a choice. I mean, you can attack me, but I will take no damage from it.
Exactly.
That's fine.
And it's until your next turn. So for some reason, if like they had an instant speeds thing to do, they can't even do that to you like after the extra turn. Like, obviously depending on where they're sitting, but like, yeah. So
and the deal is like, here, I'll give you an extra turn, kill that guy.
Yeah, right. That's exactly what it is. I'll give you an extra turn. You have to swing all your creatures at this person. Interesting.
Nice.
I wonder how often we'll see this card. Like, will the downside be too strong for anyone to include this? Like, and like, what deck really wants this? It's interesting.
I think it's know. I mean, like if we've got any sort of goading going on, I mean that already helps us. I don't know. I like it.
I like it, but I wonder. I think people are going to be scared off by giving opponents extra turns. I don't think you're actually going to see this card played that often.
It is possible to win when your opponent has protection from you. Like if you like make all opponents lose a bunch of life, or you deal damage to each opponent.
That's
true.
That
doesn't stop it.
True. Yep. Yeah, I think it's going to be too scary. I don't think you're actually going to see this very often. Oddly enough. What do you mean? No. It's crazy. The card's bizarre. Okay, what's next?
Curious Herd, 3 and a green for an instant. Choose target opponent. You create X, 3/3 green beast creature tokens, where X is the number of artifacts that player controls. All the little beasts are like, hey, what's this piece of equipment? Hey, what's this signet? Hey, what's that? They gotta go investigate. They're curious.
What is that?
I mean, the upside is so huge. Like, how
Yeah.
many times are you sitting across from someone with like 5 artifacts and like, cool, I'll take 15 power worth of creatures for 4
Fully for 4
on your
mana.
end step?
Exactly. Adding some speed. Oh, you're attacking me with a bunch of your artifact creatures? Okay, guess what? Curious Herd. Like, playing this against anyone running an artifact deck is obviously like bonkers, right? Like,
Yeah,
any kind of
they're out there.
creature-based artifact deck especially is just going to wreck them. So
Yeah,
this is a good card.
it's a very good card.
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Next we have Twinning Staff. 3 mana for an artifact. Says if you would copy a spell 1 or more times, instead copy it that many times plus an additional time. You may choose new targets for the additional copy. So, like, that's sweet, right? Like, if your deck is built around copying spells, like, that's crazy.
Yeah,
This
it's
just
like
always
extra
gives
copy.
you an extra one. And then we have the ability of 7 and tap this. Copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. So, like, that seems a little out of whack, but truly what it is you drop this on 3, obviously, and then, like, once you build up to that extra 7 mana, it actually reads copy it twice, right?
Right, because the staff gives you the bonus 1 on
Yeah.
top of the first copy.
So that's, like, a really strong ability. 7 mana just is a lot, though, right? Like, you
And that's on top of what you've paid to cast it.
Exactly. So, like, I think that just the ability alone, just the static ability it has, is, again, if your deck is built to do this, is good enough. I don't know how often you're going to activate that 7 mana thing, because you're probably just going to have ways to do it in your deck anyways, right? Like,
Yeah,
that seems like the least efficient way to do it.
yeah.
It's pretty, like, we don't usually use the term win more a lot. I think it's because win more actually matters in Commander. Like, you actually do want to win more sometimes because you're facing 3 or 4 other people. So win more actually means like not win an excess amount, but win a better amount. I don't know.
Yeah.
This seems like it's a little win more. But again, that could just be a good thing that you actually want to do.
I think that the clue is that Wart the Raid Mother is in this deck. And so Wart makes it super cheap to copy spells. So for Twinning Staff now we're double copying them, right? Like this deck has already shown us so many ways where that becomes possible. So yeah.
Yeah. Narrow card, but good for this deck, obviously.
Lastly, we're talking about Lava Brink Floodgates. 3 in a red for an artifact. Tap to add red. That's a pure red mana ramp spell. Here's the interesting part. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that's everyone, not just you, that player may put a doom counter on Lava Brink Floodgates or remove a doom counter from it. So you got 2 choices, add or remove. Then, if it has 3 or more doom counters on it, sacrifice Lava Brink Floodgates. When you do, it deals 6 damage to each creature. So this becomes like... So we always assume a 4-player game, that's the average number of players, I think. So the whole table could just agree to be like, okay, add, and it's gone, and you never get to use it. But it doesn't come without a cost. Like they're like, if anyone has any sort of board, they're like, no way, man, I'm taking that doom counter off because I don't want to lose my stuff.
Yeah, very interesting. Like, on the surface, just the 3 in a red for an artifact that adds red is awesome. And I guess if you're in a deck that isn't running a ton of creatures, like, this is just great.
And as long as 2 people don't want it to happen, 2 people add a counter, 2 people remove a counter, it'll never go off.
Yeah.
It only happens if someone has proliferate and also wants it to go off. I guess they could proliferate those doom counters. Or if 3 people want it gone. But in that case, you probably have... Well, no, if you're not one of those people, I don't know. It's very interesting to me. I love
probably, yeah, you might play this earlier in the game, and then, like, it's not really getting many counters because people don't want their early stuff to die. And then there's a point where you get a bigger board, and then they start putting counters on it, and you're like, oh, snap. You know? Like, I don't want that to happen.
Yeah. Make
So
sure your
that's
stuff's
interesting.
bigger than 6.
Bit of a liability. Interesting, though. I don't know about this card. It's interesting, but
I gotta try it out.
it's
It's the only way to know.
This is the one that's made me think the most. whether or not I like it, because I do like it, but also there's definitely some decks that just would hate to have this.
Yeah.
But then would those decks even run this in the first place? I don't think so. Anyways, okay, so we have our If You Control Your Commander card here. It's Deflecting SWAT. 2 and a red for an instant that is free if you have your commander. And it says you may choose new target for target spell or ability. So this is obviously the most narrow one, right? This one you can really only cast if there's something that's targeting something.
Well, yeah,
Right?
but I do feel we should point out that a lot of times this ability specifies that that has one target. This doesn't say it has to have one target. It can have unlimited targets.
That's true.
You get to pick all of the targets.
That's true. You may choose new targets for target spell or ability. So ability also key here. Like honestly, like that can be just as effective as a spell in trying to like remove your commander, like I was saying. So I think the number one use, yeah, we're going to be able to protect our commander from any kind of targeted ability or spell, obviously. And then, you've got the added kind of upside of like, well, someone's trying to put either some kind of aura, or they're just trying to, I don't know, do some other cool shenanigans with their own stuff, or
Sure, someone casts Casualties of War. You're gonna be like, I think I'll choose the new targets for those.
So while I think that this card is like a little more narrow, I do think that you're going to find a use for it. I still think this card's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously the free ability makes it really get there. This is a good reprint.
It's a good reprint. Wizards, thanks for reprinting Lightning Greaves, but Wizards, please don't just give them put it in all of them. Why are Swiftfoot boots in some of them, but Lightning Greaves in other ones? Again, if they never reprinted Swiftfoot boots, then that would be expensive. But it is not balanced. Give us 50-50, make them both cheap.
Is Swiftfoot boots reprinted in this set too?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, that's good. I'm beginning to just sort of like accept the reality of the fact that Lightning Greaves is only going to be in one every year. I wish it would just putting it in 2 would make me happier. Like to the point where I wouldn't even think about it anymore.
Yeah.
It's like if you're putting it in 2, great. And you can put like, I don't know, whatever, put the boots in the other boots and the other things. So happy that it's here. I'm going to say Wizards thanks again. Wizards thanks. But this is one where it's like upping it a little bit would be great. But you can't complain. At least they're reprinting it, right? Can't complain too much.
It's better than not. Yeah.
Exactly,
It's too easy. Maybe this is. We got to focus on the positive. It's too easy to focus on the negative. There's 10,000 cards.
Keeping the price down to a fairly reasonable thing where it's like, at least it's not like a $10 card anymore, or more.
Yeah.
So at least we have that. That's good.
I expect to see these in the new Commander draftable set. I expect Lightning Greaves to be in.
Yes, I do too. Yes, I hope so. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Okay, so that's the Teamer deck. There it is. Well, that's a spicy one. A lot of cool things going on there. And now we're going to move on to. Is this the final one? No.
Final one.
Mardu. It is.
Yes.
The Mardu deck. Okay.
Ooh.
All right. So now moving on to our final deck of the set review. It's the Mardu deck, and it's called Ruthless Regiment. And it is headlined by the relative of one of my favorite comedians. I'm a sucker for old Friends episodes, and I'm a sucker for Jarina Kudrow, sister of Lisa. 1 red, white, black, legendary human soldier, 3/3. When Jarina Kudrow enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token for each time you've cast a commander from the command zone this game. Other humans you control get +2/+0. So if that wasn't a big enough clue, the theme for this deck is humans. So like we've gotten, these are all the themes from Ikoria. We've got the cycle, the monsters, the mutate, and the weird copy spell thing, and humans. Here we go. So this is all right.
This is, I think, the fair version of Edgar Markov. This is what the Edgar Markov ability should have been instead of what it is.
Yes, you know what? That's very true. Yes.
It's Mardu. You get them when you cast your commander. Make some other ones bigger. Done.
Yeah, none of this like sitting in the command zone just gaining you so much value.
Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's like yeah, like I mean you're going to make a human tribal deck, I guess. Like, you know,
I'm
it's
not
all
a
right.
I'm not a human tribe. I'm not a tribal deck person. I don't love tribal decks generally.
Me neither, although I do have quite a few of them.
Humans are to me are just like kind of a like all the sci-fi, all the fantasy, all the things, like usually when there's multiple types of creatures, the humans are kind of the boring ones. Maybe that's because that's what we are, and they're never surprising. But it's just like, yeah, they're the good ones that are good at negotiation. It's like,
or like
no, man.
I'm the human in D&D or whatever, like I get to pick my specialties or like whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, oh,
I get to
well,
multi-class.
I guess that's that. I get like that's cool, but you know, it's kind of
I'd
fun
rather
when
be
you're
the
like,
one who can channel lightning.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I guess she's a bit of an underwhelming commander, but if you're going human tribal and tokens, it's obviously going to be good.
There you go.
No, let's see if maybe. Oh well, I guess we're not at that one yet. So yeah, we'll just read
I
the
mean,
next
so
one.
of course they reprinted Alicia, who smiles at death. Tuna red, legendary human warrior, 3/2 with first strike, and whenever Alicia attacks, you can pay 2 mana as long as it's a combination of black and white or Zav. If you do, return a creature card with power 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped and attacking. That doesn't apply to our commander Lisa Kudrow, Janira Kudrow. Yeah, decent value in a Mardu deck.
Yeah, always good. That was basically going to be an auto include, especially we're talking about humans. We're talking about low CMC creatures and stuff like power and stuff like that. Let's take a look at these partners though. These are some. Oh no, this isn't the partner yet. No,
No,
it's
not
not.
yet. Not
Sorry,
yet.
I thought this was the partner commander.
I ordered them based on the CMC.
Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. Well, Calcian the Plague is here. Red, white, black. So straight up, 3 mana. The Mardu manas. It's a legendary human assassin. It's a 2/2, vigilance and haste. Calcian the Plague gets +1/+1 for each experience counter you have. This is interesting. We have not heard nor seen of experience counters since that commander set came out. And you can tap Calcian, and Calcian deals 1 damage to target creature you don't control. When that creature dies this turn, you get an experience counter. Huh.
So we now have the ability to get an experience counter every turn by tapping. If there's not a 1 toughness creature, we can supplement that with like a lightning bolt type effect. Like as long as it dies, we can still do this. And it shares the color pie. So if this is your commander, you're allowed to run the enchantment Daxos that was black-white, that makes enchantment creatures that are as big as your experience counters. And you also get to run Kalemni, who gets experience counters when you cast 5 CMC or greater. So all 3 of them now get to generate experience counters for you, and they all benefit from it. This is interesting. I don't know how amazing Calcian is in general, but if this means we may one day get other commanders that overlap different partners, that's very exciting.
Yeah, I think I'm more excited for the fact that this shows that they're willing to do more experience counter stuff. That is more exciting to me than the fact that I could run this with the previous experience counter commanders, because honestly, Kalemni and Daxos, like, they don't have a lot of synergy together. So the fact that you would have those cards in your deck is like, what deck are you running? You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. The potential,
like
the
Daxos
groundwork
alone
is there.
is like, it means you have to include a bunch of enchantments for it to even care about it, I guess. Well, I guess not. I guess it still just pumps out tokens. Okay, well, actually, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe there's a little more synergy than I thought there. Not synergy, but just like utility, maybe.
Yeah.
It makes me want to look and like dig and brew and see what we can do with upping our experience counters in other ways in these colors, and obviously just like using the ones that they printed. I wouldn't be surprised though also if this means that we might get more experience counter commanders in the allied colors, right? Because we got them in the enemy colors.
That's right. We have the Yeah.
We don't have the allied one. So this might mean that we might be able to, within the next next run, we get some experienced counter commanders. We'll see.
Yeah,
I'd like
a couple
to see
of
the
them are a
Rakdos
bit
one.
broken.
Yeah, there's the Golgari one. What's her
And
name?
the is it
Marin.
one?
Right. Yeah. Anyways, so I'm interested in looking into this and seeing how Calcium can be utilized. But I overall I'm interested.
We're building like a must-see TV kind of thing. We've got Lisa Kudrow from Friends. We've got Kelsey and Grammer.
Kelsey and Grammer
from representing Frasier.
Yes, I love it.
And if the partners are two guys and a girl in a pizza place, then we're good to go.
I don't know what actress was on Must See TV named Alicia. That also works.
Yeah, that's right. Alicia Silverstone, not a TV person.
Clueless was a TV show, but anyways, she wasn't on it. Who else do we have here?
They also gave us a reprint of Fumiko the Lowblood, 2 red legendary human samurai, 3/2, has Bushido X, where X is the number of attacking creatures, and what that means is if Fumiko is involved in creature combat, if she's attacking or blocking, then she gets +X for each attacking, like the X is the number of attacking creatures, either your opponent's attacking creatures or your attacking creatures if you're on the offense. But the best part about Fumiko is creatures your opponents control attack each combat if able. Fumiko is hard to attack into, so quite often Fumiko sort of reads like everybody else's sort of goated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little bit. We also have Odric Master Tactician.
Yes.
2 white for the legendary human soldier. 3/4 first strike. Whenever Odric and at least 3 other creatures attack, you choose which creatures block this combat and how those creatures block. So
usually nobody.
Exactly. I don't believe I've ever seen an attack with Odric result in a block.
Yeah.
It's always just like none of your creatures decide to block. Instead, I just kill you.
They just decided not to block.
So Odric is
they
like
give us both the Odrics, Andy. This is our commander
This
set.
is our
This
commander
is so
set big
great.
time. Yeah, absolutely. We got to talk to him about it. We got to get him on the show
Yeah.
and see what they're saying.
It's been too long since we've had a visit from the 2 Odrics.
Agreed. But yeah, this is a great one to do with any kind of token swarm strategy. So cool to see it.
Yeah. So here's a new one. The partners. The first half of the partner is the mono white Trin Champion of Freedom, 3 and a white for a legendary human soldier. I know they say human, but whoever drew this drew an elf.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but you drew an elf.
Partner with Sylvar, Devourer of the Free. So Trin's half says, at the beginning of your end step, if you attack this turn, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Great.
Cool. Great. What's Sylvar saying?
Sylvarda is 3 black-red. Cat Nightmare, 4/2. Menace. Sacrifice a human, that's the kind of token that Trin makes. Put a +1/+1 counter on Sylvar, Devourer of the Free. It gains indestructible until end of turn. So Trin somehow in the previous turn, if you attacked, Trin pumps out a human at the end of the turn, and then Sylvar is just waiting on that human, waiting to pounce on that human in case anything tries to destroy it.
Yeah.
And you can just keep that cycle going. That's not bad.
I saw someone complain on Twitter, and I think Shiva must have got a little, got some messages about her because I think he was talking about it also. Complaining about Trin and Sylvar working together and how like feeding your human friends to your nightmare cat isn't a very white ability, which is funny. It's a funny like thing to think about. It's true, but you got to think of these are 2 separate creatures, right? Like Trin's ability is pure white. She just makes creature tokens, right?
Yeah,
like
what's
if
the problem?
Attack, like there's nothing wrong with that. It just makes total sense. And the red-black ability of Sylvar is a pure red-black ability. Like there's nothing that's not red-black about this also. So
I mean,
they're 2 separate creatures that just work well together. That's all.
Are those people also complaining that white has nightmare squirrels now? Like, is that a problem for the people, the color pie purists?
That's a bit more of a legit complaint, I'd say. So yeah, I like this. This sparks a little creativity when it comes to so if you're running a human deck, it's not just straight up attack with tokens. There's like a little bit more of a thing where it's more like I said, feeding the nightmare cat, That's interesting to me. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It getting indestructible and getting a +1/+1 counter is good, obviously. But like, and it's menace. Okay, it is menace. You know what? Menace makes it a little better. I was like, if somehow the white somewhere in here it could affect card draw or something. Even if it's just the red type of card, like the impulse type of card draw. Like, even if it's that, I'd be happy. That's the only thing that's like a little bit missing for me from these guys. Although, black gives us good card draw. So, if you're running this, you can still run, all the stuff that does the black style of card draw. So that's fine. Okay. We also have included in this deck Adriana, Captain of the Guard, 3 red white for the legendary creature Human Knight with melee, which means that whenever this creature attacks, because I definitely forget what melee means. Whenever this creature attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each opponent you attacked with a creature this combat.
Right.
So she'll get bigger as a result of attacking multiple opponents, and then other creatures you control have melee, so they will also be getting that much bigger for how many opponents you attacked. Very cool. 4/4 Human Knight. Yep, fits right into the deck, I'd say.
Yeah, and they've also gave us another legendary in Garna the Bloodflame, 3 black red, legendary human warrior, 3/3 flash. When Garna enters the battlefield, return to your hand all the creature cards in your graveyard that were put there from anywhere this turn. If they were milled, if you discarded them because of cycling or some other thing.
If your Nightmare Cat ate them.
If your Nightmare Cat ate them. So Garna does real work. And also, other creatures you control have haste. That might be the best part of Garna.
Yeah. I think Garna's right at home in this deck. This is a really nice include. And, I mean, we like this card on the show anyways. We think I love Garna. Just all the abilities really come together nicely. And, yeah, like I said, really, really good in this deck. Really cool.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of these new exciting cards. Now, Sean, actually, you can take this one because you have written this all in caps, and I'd like for you to explain.
Wizards thanks. Huge Wizards thanks. Finally, this is Verge Rangers. 2 and a white, Human Scout, 3/3 first strike. First of all, they didn't cheap out on the rate, right? Like 3 mana, 3/3 first strike.
That's a good deal. Yep.
You may look at the top card of your library at any time. As long as an opponent controls more lands than you, you may play lands from the top of your library. That's what white needs. It's not card draw, but it sort of is. Like if there's a land on top, you've played that land. So there's an you've got a surplus. You're up 1 card in your hand.
Yeah.
Right? So like that's good.
It's a different type of card advantage, yeah.
It's not ramp, but you're hitting your land drops way more reliably. So you're getting to 6, 7, 8 faster. This card's perfect. More, please. More.
More, please. Wizards, thanks. It's funny that aside from like the first strike ability, take that off, and this card is traditionally just a green card.
Yes.
And I guess except for the caveat that they have to have more lands than you.
The green version would just be able to play lands
exactly.
all day.
Yeah. The green version is just so much better. But I with you, man. I love that they're throwing white a bone here, and this is a pretty good one. And I'd love to pair this up with those green cards that we were talking about. I'd love to just run this in mono white. Absolutely, this is cool. Next we have Fireflux Squad. 3 and a red for a human soldier with haste. It's a 4/3. It says whenever it attacks, you may exile another target attacking creature you control. If you do, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card into the battlefield tapped and attacking, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So obviously the aim in this deck is to do that to a token, to just like exile this token, say peace, and then reveal a actual card, have it in there tapped and attacking, and obviously getting any kind of ETB effect that way and stuff like that.
Yeah. It doesn't exile. It's there for good if it doesn't die.
I like it. I like it a bunch. You know what would be really cool is if they made this have dash.
Ha. I mean, it has haste.
Haste is great. Again,
so
I'm not complaining.
Your opponents
I'm just
aren't going to see it coming.
It just for some reason this feels like the type of card that should have had dash or something like that. That effect would have also been cool on it. Not complaining at all. This card's really cool. I like it. I like the imagination of making this a red card. Exiling it feels like it's not that red, but I don't care. I think it's okay. I think it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Very
cool.
cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. Next up is Species Specialist. 2 black, human warrior, 2/3. As Species Specialist enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Whenever a creature of the chosen type dies, you may draw a card. Obviously, if we're a tribal deck, this helps us out a ton. But it doesn't just say our cards. So I'm wondering if there's ever a world where like it's worth. I don't think so. Like you would like if you're just relying on an opponent getting a couple cards, this isn't worth it. But
Yeah,
in your
well,
own human tribal deck or
the-
other tribals,
The thing is like it relies on the state of the board, right? Like if
Yeah.
if you notice that, okay, this guy's got all, like, I don't have any of my other creatures out or something, like I'm running low on them, but this guy's got a board full of merfolk, so like those merfolk are going to die at some point, you know. So it might
Yeah.
actually make more sense in the moment to make that decision, even though you've put this in your deck to only hit like your tribe, humans probably. But
yeah, if
humans,
anything's
oddly
generating
enough,
tokens.
I think humans are the best choice for this anyways, because humans are the, like, across all colors, and you actually see way more humans than you ever think. Obviously, if you're running up against some kind of tribal deck that isn't humans, but like even then you'll see the odd human. Zombie tribal decks have a surprising amount of humans in them.
That's an excellent point. Yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, you know, I like it. I like this card a bunch.
yeah.
A cool take on a classic type of card we've seen.
Yeah.
Next we have Call the Coppercoats. Call them up, give them a shout, see what they're up to. 2 and a white, instant. This card has the ability that I haven't seen in a long time called Strive. I think Strive was originally
Theros.
yeah, but it was in the third of that block.
Journey to Nyx.
Journey into Nyx, maybe? Yeah, it's either, yeah, I think that's where it was. Anyway, Strive is this spell costs 1 and a white more to cast for each target beyond the first. So this will cost you 2 and a white to cast, and then if you wanted to target an additional thing, you have to pay an additional 1 and a white. So in total, it's like,
And you can do that as many times as you have mana.
yeah, exactly. So 3 white to target 2 things. 4 white to target 3 things, blah, blah. Anyways, what it does is it's an instant that says choose any number of target opponents, create X 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens, where X is the number of creatures those opponents control.
Well,
I like this
well.
card.
Okay, we love instant token makers.
Mm-hmm.
So, what, Secure the Wastes? Is that the one?
Yeah, yes, that is the one, yeah.
X in white to get 1/1 warriors. So if you want 10 creatures, you got to pay 11 mana. You got to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
But we could get 10 creatures by paying 3.
Yeah.
We could get 30 creatures by paying 7.
Yeah.
like if you can sink these equivalent mana into this, you can get just the value. Like I mean, obviously you could also get 0.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gives you none, but the ceiling is too high to ignore on this card.
I agree, and I think there are some other cards in white that do a similar thing, where they'll give you the amount of like 1/1s for how many creatures you control, or 1/1s for opponents, or things like that. And I think they're all sorcery, and they all cost like 5 or 6, and they're good enough to run in these soldier decks, in these like token decks. Generally speaking, this is better than those. Although this floor is that this card is just dead, and
Yeah.
there's nothing. And then I think more likely floor is that you will only get like 2 or 3 creatures off of it or something. Which honestly, sometimes in these token decks, like I run a soldier tribal deck. Let's talk about tribal cards. Like I do have them. Sometimes all you want is like, you're fine with just getting 3 1/1s. Like that can have the effect that you really want. So I think I like this card quite a bit, and the fact that this
I
can get
love
you
this
crazy amounts of creatures is awesome. The instant speed is what puts it over the top, and what makes it, I think, a good card.
Yeah, totally.
Very cool. Call up those copper coats and see if they want to come play, baby.
Yeah, give me a copper coat. I'm in.
Yeah, love
I'm curious to get your thoughts on Sanctuary Blade. It's an interesting piece of equipment. 2 generic artifact. So it equips for 3, so that's pricey. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has protection from the last chosen color, and when it becomes attached to a creature, you choose a color. So you just get to, like, it's a weird like bonus. So for 3 mana, you're getting +2/+0 and unblockable to 1 person, probably.
Yeah, I remember seeing this. You know what's kind of like, it's weird that it's in this deck because like I guess I'm putting this on my commander or
I
some
mean, this
other
deck
creature.
attacks the most.
Yeah, but you're not going to put this on like a token, you know? Like,
No.
I guess you could put this on the cat, the Nightmare Cat. That'd be good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess protection's good. It's tough to block, but a lot of people have multicolored decks. Like protection from one color isn't that good. I don't know. And like if you wanted to change the color and have it still be on the same creature, you gotta pay 6 because you had to move it to something.
Oh
and then
yeah,
move
I
it back.
hadn't thought of that.
So like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I like
Okay.
this that much.
Yeah, you know what? I think this is just too tricky.
5 mana essentially for, well, not, but you know what I mean. For a +2/+0 and protection from one color. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I like it that much.
Yeah. I mean, because it crosses with Hex Proof in some ways, but Hex Proof doesn't help with unblockability, whereas this one does.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Voltron decks are into it. I don't think you're going to see it very often otherwise. And
Yeah.
I'm not like, this doesn't jump out at me as something I'm excited to run. Although you will like be frustrated by this card because you will be
Yes.
running your blue-black deck and you'll have only black blockers and someone's going to be protection from black. And you're like, well, okay, I'm just dead to this stupid Sanctuary Blade now.
I mean, it's also for those things, like if people have onboard effects of a color, like you'd be like, well, you can't touch my stuff with...
Yeah, that's true. They can't target it and stuff like that. Can't enchant it. Finally, for the exciting new cards, we have Molten Echoes, which is an enchantment. It's 2 red, and it says, as Molten Echoes enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Whenever a non-token creature of the chosen type enters the battlefield under your control, create a token that's a copy of that creature. That token gains haste. Exile it at the beginning of the next end step. Always love this ability. The doubling up of the creature and having it only be a temporary creature. The choosing a creature type is obviously like a downside. Like that's what narrows this into a more of a tribal card. But I don't mind seeing fun new tribal cards. And it doesn't I don't think I you know what, I would run this in a deck that wants to make a bunch of these like token things. I wouldn't just put it in any old deck just to like maybe because you can do this to your commander, and if it has an ETB ability, that just means you're getting your commander's ETB ability twice. Like, yeah, you have to sacrifice one of them, but you kind of do that anyways, right? So like there's some applications here, like because even if this is like I said, like if this is just doing it to one creature, it's kind of still really good depending on what that creature is, right? So yeah, I don't know. I like it. I think it's good. It's what's the card I'm thinking of, Sean? The one that it's an enchantment that does this, but you have to pay the 1 red to do it.
Yes.
And it just does it for everything.
Give me 1 second to use my Scryfall search terms.
Okay.
Color, red, type, enchantment.
Okay, while you do that,
CMC.
I'll read the... Did you find it? I'll read
Nope.
No? I'll read the
I've got
control
more
the commander
typing to
thing.
do.
Okay.
A lot more typing.
Okay, I will read the next card then. This is the free, if you control your commander card for this
Flame
deck.
Shadow Conjurer.
There it is! Flame Shadow Conjuring. You did it really fast. I didn't know you'd get that fast. Yes. I like that ability. I like that card. That card's obviously more usable, but it's not just free. So, I love it. Now you can read the free commander card.
If you control a commander, this is free. It's 2 and a white for an instant. Otherwise, creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn.
You know me, I love this effect. I run these cards. We like this on the show. This is an anti-board wipe card. It's an anti-destroy target creature card. I like it. Yeah, Flawless Maneuver. Very cool card here. And obviously, like there's no populate, there's no give it +1/+0. Like that's what we see on these cards typically, and they're usually about like 1 and a white for that ability. Although I think
They're all 2 and a white.
They're 2 and a white, aren't they? Yeah, you're right.
Standard price.
So this is just obviously the sky's the limit here. The fact that it can be free. So, yep, love it.
Love it.
Seeing board wipes in your meta, which I know you do. Flawless Maneuver is awesome.
And here's the reprints. So I want to mention Shared Animosity. That's a good. This
is a good
got
reprint.
expensive.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
And Locust God is also in this commander set. It's not in this
Yes.
deck, but it's in another deck. Shared Animosity got real expensive because of Locust God.
Right. Yes.
2 and a red for an enchantment. Whenever a creature you control attacks, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each other attacking creature that shares a type. So in this deck, all your humans get +5/+0. The Locust God gives all those little insects +10/+10, and they've got haste.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's wild.
move this one right into the one with Locust God.
What did the price like? What's the price drop on this look like? Like, what's it currently sort of selling for?
Currently, you can buy it for about $6. Let me look up what it used to be.
I only asked just because I don't want to scroll down right now and just take a
Sure.
look. So it's
Yeah.
about $6 right now. It was definitely more than that before.
Yeah, 3 or 4. You can find them for 3 or 4, and it'll probably be even less.
Great. That's awesome. See, another. Let's just say
Wizards
it.
Thinks.
Wizards Thinks.
Wizards Thinks.
Yeah, this is a cool one. I always remember trying to use this card in Brews and trying to fit it into when we had the hard budget and just never being able to make it happen. So happy that it's reprinted. And there's one last one here that I wanted to mention, a good reprint. Let's say Wizards Thinks to Path of Ancestry being reprinted. It's the land that says it enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it and add to your mana pool 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. When that mana is spent to cast a creature spell that shares a creature type with your commander, you scry 1. So this was, again, printed originally in the Tribal Commander set back in, what was that, 2017? Yeah. Around like $5-6. I think now back down to like $4 or $5. I think it was even higher than that. This card's awesome. It doesn't have to be a tribal thing. Again, when the mana is spent to cast a creature spell that shares, yeah, sure, scry 1, great. But this is also just a 5-color land essentially in your commander's color identity. Yeah, it enters tap, but it's good. It's a good card. I'm happy to have it, and obviously it's much better in the tribal decks.
Keep reprinting.
Hashtag Wizards Thanks. Wizards Thanks for all of the stuff we're getting right now. That's it for this round of new commander decks. C20, it's coming. I mean, when will we get to actually play it in person with each other? Who knows? But you know what I will say? I meant to say this off the top. I forgot. But the whole EDH thing, where you setting up a camera and you're filming your board and you're talking on Zoom or Skype or whatever, it works, man. We did it with a couple of the play group, and it's way better than I thought it was going to be, way easier than I thought it was going to be. Especially if you have like a detachable webcam, you don't even need like half the setup. You just need to use that. So it's very doable. It's very fun. Again, the things I thought were going to be problems with it weren't even really an issue. It was great. We just had a good time. We played Commander. So that's how maybe we're going to have to run these C20 decks when they come out.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And yeah, thanks for sticking with us. This was obviously this is a long one. C20, we're so stoked. I think I'm generally quite happy with it. What are your thoughts on just sort of overall?
I mean, back up to 5 decks, that's huge. I love
that's
that.
Right. I didn't even think about that. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, back up to 5. I like the completionist of it. All the cycle, the different colors are done. Great for cycles. Great new commanders. Great reprints. I think they're doing good work. This is a great set. I haven't thought about where it ranks in all my favorite commander sets, but this is a very good one.
From what I can see, this is dropping May 15th.
Okay.
Everywhere outside of Asia. In Asia, it's dropping April 17th. So that's in like
what?
A couple days.
No fair.
Yeah, no fair. I know. Why, right?
Asia.
So they're getting that extra time. They're getting a whole month with it before we are.
Wow. They'll be bored of it by the time we even start.
So yeah, May 15th. So about a month. Look for this set. And let's start playing some on-cam EDH with each other. It's fun. One thing I'm excited to do with this is like your meta expands to include the world.
Yeah.
We're
friends, all. You know what?
Friends you've met at GPs and stuff. Like we can actually play some paper Commander together again.
We've always been one big meta anyway. Mm-hmm. If you think about it, I think the Commander community is like that's the strength of Commander is the community.
For sure.
So yeah. Ironic that the color that best represents community is the worst in Commander.
Yeah, that's true. They've got to keep going and making it better.
Yes.
We saw some nice improvements here though, so that was cool. Overall, we're happy with reprints. We're happy with, I think, those things like seeing some beefed up white cards and seeing some cool takes and some cool decks. I actually wasn't sure how I was going to think about how I was going to feel about rather tying it so closely to the Ikoria set mechanics, but I think it's good. I think it worked.
I think it works.
Yeah, I think it works. Okay, well, guys, thanks so much for watching. It really means a lot. This is obviously, like I said, this is a long one, but you know, we only get these once a year, so really, really cool that you stuck through it and hung out with us. Please, if you want to help us out, subscribe, comment, all that kind of stuff. Liking, sharing is great. The Patreon's there, but also check out our sponsors, wizardtower.com. If you're in Canada, they're still shipping out orders, and TCGplayer. You know, follow the links on our decks that you've seen, and if you order cards through those affiliate links, we'll get a little slice of that as well. So, thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you next week with, guess what? Another big set review. Ikoria set review coming out next week. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. If you love what we're doing, consider supporting the show by going to patreon.com/commandersbrew.
And if you want to get any of the cards from our deck list, go to our TCGplayer affiliate link below.
That helps us out too. And for a free way to help us out, consider sharing the show with some friends. Like and subscribe, add a comment or two.
See you later.
Bye.